Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto leaves after being get to know what happened to his parents part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The cold, eerie air prickled her skin that night. She slowly opened her eyes as she stared at the alarm clock on her bedside table. It read 11:23 p.m. She got up from her bed, gazing through the window of her bedroom. It had been a tiring day for her, and she wondered why she couldn't sleep. Her gaze fell to the hexagon-shaped frame beside her alarm clock. It held the photograph of a white-haired, half-masked man standing behind his 3 students, smiling merrily. Although it was merely his pair of eyes which were visible, it seems that he was glad. His arms were spread wide, his left arm wrapped around the shoulder of a sun-kissed blonde boy with cerulean blue eyes. His arms were crossed in front of his chest. He was also looking obnoxiously at the other boy in the picture, where the white-haired man's right arm was draped on. The other boy has a jet black hair, and with a pair of piercing dark eyes to match, he is handsome. He seems to be frowning on the blonde boy, but the frown did not show anger or resentment. It was a playful frown. In the middle of the 2 boys was a pink-haired girl, smiling childishly in the picture, looking exceptionally glad by the fact she's surrounded by her friends. Her team. Team 7. Suddenly, as though a feeling of déjà vu swept her, she dropped the photograph on the cold, marble floor. With trembling hands, she picked the photograph on the floor. She ran her finger through the crack on the photograph caused by the fall. The crack separated the raven-haired boy from his other teammates. With a worried expression, she placed the photograph back on the bedside table and sped out of her room. Only his own footsteps can be heard from the cold, snowy night. With a backpack and both hands in his pockets, he slowly walked across the road on that silent night. Somehow, he felt like a burglar in his own town, leaving in the middle of the night where all townsfolk are fast asleep, not knowing what was happening. As he was nearing the Konoha gates, he sensed that someone was waiting by the gates. The chakra signature was familiar, and as he sensed to know whose chakra it belonged to, he closed his eyes in pained frustration. "Sasuke-kun," the voice said. He sighed deeply. True enough, the voice belongs to her. He didn't expect her to discover him leaving. "Sakura," he said coldly. He didn't stop walking and walked past her, but in the corner of his right eye he glanced at his pink-haired teammate. "Where are you going?" "It's none of your business," he snapped. She smiled sadly. Her smile shattered something inside him. His guilt, maybe? Guilt of bringing sadness and suffering to his teammate who never failed to help and care for him during the times he needed it. "This is the road taken by the ninjas who left town," she muttered softly. "Sasuke-kun, please. Please be sensible. Don't go to him." His brows knitted in frustration. "Who?" "Orochimaru." Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Of course she knows, Sasuke thought ruefully. She knows him too well, like the back of her hand. "Go home, Sakura. It's late. You shouldn't be here at this hour." Her lips, chapped by the freezing night and his cold words, trembled at his statement as fresh tears threatened to fall any second. "What good will it do? Revenge will not bring back your clan back from the grave." His piercing black eyes stared at her. His dangerous eyes. "You will never understand." Finally, the tears she's been fighting hard not to fall betrayed her. Fresh tears easily spilled out from her emerald green eyes. "No. What I don't understand is why you're leaving us. After all these years, haven't we been a family to you?" He bit his lower lip guiltily. He chose not to respond to her statement, for he also didn't know how to answer her question. True, Team 7 has been good to him, almost like a family. Kakashi treated him like a son. And while Naruto and himself considered each other as rivals, they also treated each other like brothers, even if they both don't want to admit it outright. And Sakura. Sakura had always been his pillar, taking care of him when he was sick or wounded, and motivating him when he needed it the most. She is not just a precious comrade, but someone who he does not wish to hurt the most. She's someone who can make him waver and hesitate, like now. He clenched his fists inside his short pockets. "Do you remember this place, Sasuke-kun? This is the place where we first formed as a team. The place where we became a second family to each other," Sakura continued. "I don't remember," Sasuke lied. Then he turned his handsome face to Sakura, smirking for a fraction of a second, and Sakura wondered if that was her imagination. "You're really annoying." "Please, Sasuke-kun. Stay. I can make you happy. I can make you forget your revenge against him." "Nothing can make me forget my revenge. I am an avenger." Suddenly, to his surprise, she flung her arms around him, her pale, delicate hands wrapped around his middle, and her head resting against his back. He could hear her sobbing and choking with tears, like a child abandoned by her mother. Please stay. Stay with us. With me. She cried softly. Why? Why are you stopping me? He asked in a pained expression Sakura is unable to see. Silence followed. And then. Because I love you, Sasuke-kun. He closed his eyes, biting the inside of his cheeks to not betray any reaction from him. Again, guilt swarmed through him as she said that. He regained his composure and sighed. Why, Sakura? I don't deserve it. I don't deserve you. I don't care. As long as you're with me, I'll ask nothing for return. He grabbed her hands wrapped around him, and slowly, he began unlocking her hands from his waist. He turned to face her. Listen, Sakura. Go on with your life. We have separate paths. I have to take a different one, and you know it. She shook her head vehemently, sobbing more. No! I can't! Please, if you don't want to stay, then just take me with you. I'll help you with your revenge. No, he said in a sharp voice. He will never ruin Sakura's bright future in Konoha with his personal revenge. I have no use for you, he added cruelly. For the second time, she smiled, a painful one, and a fresh batch of tears poured down on her face once more. True, I am not skilled enough to be a help for you. But still, just take me with you. I'll be a good company for you. I just can't live without you, Sasuke-kun. This is too much, he thought. He couldn't take it anymore. That is enough, he replied coldly. He turned to leave. No! If you go, I'll scream and… Just then, with one swift movement, he was behind her. The cold wind swept by, matching the gloom in the air and the gloom in her heart. Thank you, Sakura, he said as he struck her across her back. Blackness surrounded her consciousness. When she woke up, she saw him walking away from her. Then, with an uttered cry, she realized that it was not the Sound Village he was heading to but straight to the slimy mouth of Orochimaru. His mouth was held wide open, his long, sticky tongue almost like a red carpet in which Sasuke was walking. Orochimaru's large head was floating in midair, through the darkness. Sasuke continues to walk towards Orochimaru's mouth, his back turned towards her. Orochimaru's snake-like yellow eyes glinted with malice as he cackled wickedly. Sakura ran to follow Sasuke, to save him from Orochimaru's grasp. But he was miles away, and it seems that despite how many steps she took, he was still going farther and farther, away from her reach. When she couldn't take it anymore, she shouted with all her might. Sasuke-kun! As though a miracle had happened, he stopped at her voice. He slowly turned his head towards her, and she gasped. The body was Sasuke's, but the face was definitely not his. The hair became somewhat longer, and tied into a loose ponytail that hung below his shoulders. There were also lines across his face. Somehow, the eyes were the same, but narrower, and the eyelashes were longer. They really look alike, except that he was not the one she loves. Uchiha Itachi smirked. Where is he? Where's Sasuke-kun? She asked him frantically. He smirked, and then took something from his Akatsuki robe. When he took out his hand, he was already holding a cylindrical flask containing a yellowish fluid inside. And floating between the fluid was a pair of Sharingan-activated eyeballs. Sasuke's eyes. His beautiful eyes. No, this can't be happening, he's alive, she stammered, dropping to her knees. Game over, Itachi mouthed. And oh! Sakura bolt upright. Sweat poured from her face, mixed with fresh, salty tears. She looked around her. She was lying on her bed, and she was in her bedroom. She breathed a sigh of relief as she closed her eyes and lay back on her bed again, burying her face on her pillow. It was all a dream. A nightmare, precisely. She took the photograph on her bedside table and stared at the picture. The crack that separated him from them was still visible. She sighed heavily, placing the photograph back to its original position. She got out of her bed and stared through the window. Nearly 5 years have passed, and still, the hidden village of Leaf looks the same. Only the villagers showed changes that time has passed. Now 18 years of age, Harino Sakura has grown up a lot. She let her pink tresses grow back into breast length again, and she grew a lot taller now. Her breasts developed slightly, although not as much development as Ino had. Her curves showed themselves more, now that she's older. Her green eyes were still the same, bright and cheery. However, it does not hold the same sparkle anymore. She supposed it had gone the day Sasuke left Konoha. She immediately went into her bathroom and took a bath. Then, she dressed up in her usual crisp white uniform. She is a medic now, All thanks to her Shirsho, Tsunade-sama, who persuaded and guided her to fulfill being a medical ninja. Thankfully, due to her outstanding efforts, she is now the 5th Hokage's apprentice and was considered as the second best medic nin, next to the Godame itself. Kakashi-sensei was so proud of her, as well as Naruto, who for the first time treated her to a full bowl of ramen the day he got back from his own 5 years of training with Jiraiya-sama, who is another legendary Sannin. Ino, her best friend, was there as well, giving her a bouquet of flowers from her shop. I'm so proud of you, forehead girl. I'm glad you're not brooding on him anymore. Thanks, Ino pig. They were all jonin now, with the exception of Naruto, who was still a genin because he had been away for so long. Sakura smiled to herself. She shouldn't worry too much. She is surrounded by her friends, and even though her parents had died already, Tsunade Shirsho and Kakashi-sensei were always there for her like real parents do. She brushed her hair, and with one final look in the mirror, she went out of her room, thinking that as long as she's surrounded by her loved ones, she'll always be happy. How very wrong she was. The dripping of the water from the ceiling echoed throughout the cave. It was such a silent morning in which the chirping of the hummingbirds and the swaying of the trees, as well as the dripping of the water, were the only ones that can be heard. A figure dressed in a black cloak painted with red clouds was leaning against a tall cherry blossom tree, his eyes closed. He seemed to match the serene area he was in. The sound of footsteps awakened his senses, as well as the strong, familiar chakra signature coming from someone inside the cave. He activated his Sharingan. The figure came into view, although the chakra channels he could see within the person in front of him were blurry. Damn, he thought. It was due to his overuse of Manjiki Sharingan yesterday after a very straining battle. Your eyes are worse than ever, Itachi, the masked figure remarked. Uchiha Madara, Itachi thought, his eyes slightly narrowed. Madara is currently masquerading as Tobi, the newest member in Akatsuki, in order to hide his identity to other members. But Itachi had known him since he massacred his clan, and he simply could not place his full trust on the man, despite having the man's aid in the massacre to fulfill his double spy role for Konoha. He still has his suspicions this man claims to be his legendary ancestor from the past, but then Itachi finds it hard to believe. That ancestor had lived past his lifetime already, even if he did fake his death. He could feel the masked Akatsuki's eyes boring over him. I heard from Kisame you had a battle with Sasuke that ended in your triumph, a close call indeed. As expected, the masked figure said. As part of his agreement with Madara, both agreed not to divulge each other's true identities given their own personal goals in the organization. Itachi is well aware of the Akatsuki's goals, but he feels that Madara seems to have another hidden agenda. Why after all these years he had to show up again in front of him after the massacre, and join Akatsuki? That, Itachi decided he'll plan to investigate moving forward. As long as Sasuke and Konoha will not be harmed, then the deal for now, with this so-called Madara, is on. Madara continued to bore his visible eye on Itachi. While Itachi obviously worked for Konoha's well-being and safety, he decided to keep Itachi at arm's length in the organization. As long as Itachi does not know the true intent and goals of Akatsuki, then it will be fine. He had always been within Akatsuki's shadows, pulling the strings. In fact, none of the Akatsuki has the accurate knowledge of the organization's goals, only him and Zetsu, and not even Pain and Konan, who are the two original members of the old, useless Akatsuki. But Itachi has always been intelligent, powerful, and indispensable in the organization. As much as Madara hates to admit, this makes Itachi both a very good member and frightening enemy. He supposed he could wait for Itachi to die, or better yet finally succumb to his nearing blindness due to his overuse of their ocular dojutsu. He, Madara, alone is undefeated by this curse of their eye power. He managed to obtain the secret to not succumb to that pathetic misery. He was relieved Itachi did not manage to learn of that secret, the secret of his power he got from the great Hashirama Senju, first Hokage of the Leaf and former rival of Madara Uchiha. Oh well, the masked man thought. Itachi is formidable enough in his current state. But where is your younger brother now? Surely he did not return to Konoha after learning the truth? Madara continued to inquire. You told Sasuke the truth and sought him out before he fought with me, didn't you? Itachi snapped darkly after intentionally ignoring the masked man up to this point. I thought we agreed many years ago not to involve Sasuke in this. Pain sent me to Orochimaru's hideout after I heard that he died, to get the Akatsuki ring in his possessions. Hell, does that guy even die? He told Itachi. And apparently Sasuke was the one who finished him off, as per Kabuto. He fascinated me. So I thought, why can't Sasuke become the 10th member of Akatsuki? Seeing we still need one more after I joined, he's a rogue now anyway. So I told him the truth. But he is so intent to track you and learn the truth from you, I doubt he even considered my proposal. He's not to be touched, we clearly agreed on that. Even when you say that, Who's to say what Sasuke's plans are now? Especially after learning the truth? Madara sneered. You don't know what he'll do next. I trust him to make the right judgment and be back to Konoha, and live the way as it should always be. Maybe, Madara drawled. But it's up to him. Itachi stood up and turned to leave. I am warning you. Do not, in any way, meddle with Sasuke's affairs from now on. Whatever choices he will make after learning the truth, he'll make them on his own. I am Uchiha Madara, brat. Don't antagonize me. I will, if you don't keep to our agreements. Itachi threatened. When it comes to Konoha and Sasuke, you know that I never hold back. I hope you know that very well. Itachi turned his back on Madara and left. Madara clenched his jaw. He tried to persuade Sasuke and recruit him to Akatsuki, so that Itachi can lower his defenses. He knew Sasuke had always been Itachi's weakness. To earn Sasuke's trust, he had to let Sasuke know the truth about Itachi in hopes that it would add fuel to Sasuke's hate towards Itachi for being Konoha's pawn and betraying their clan, as well as join Akatsuki to destroy Konoha. While Sasuke did not outright refuse, he said his priority is to seek out Itachi. And Itachi and Sasuke's fight did not go as Madara desired it to be. Sasuke seems still not on par with Itachi's skills, though close enough. Still, it has not been enough, as Sasuke still lost, as per Zetsu. Other than that, he was not aware of where Sasuke was at the moment, for Zetsu was noticed by Itachi during the fight and the latter casted a Tsukuyami on Zetsu, thus, resulting to Zetsu losing consciousness and was only awakened by Madara himself when he went to the battle area after the fight. No matter, Madara thought savagely. He just had to wait for Itachi to die, he thought as he sneered wickedly. As long as he doesn't know the true extent of the plan, he'll kill Itachi once the time is right. Itachi was about to go back to his room when he came to a halt. He turned to the owner of the voice and saw Akatsuki's leader, Pain. Leader, Itachi answered. I heard about the battle you had with your brother. I hope everything is settled now. It seems so. I am not sure if he'll seek me out again or still gain power after I completely defeated him. But I do not intend to worry about him for now, Itachi replied carefully. The Akatsuki leader, and the rest of their other members aside from Madara, need not know the truth and his true intentions. He'll continue his role from within, to ensure his own personal goals of protecting his brother and Konoha. I see, Pain said before continuing, I wanted to inform you of this since you are in charge of capturing the Kyuubi. Though I might have to tell this to the others too, in case they encounter the Kyuubi when you are all doing your separate missions. Itachi remained impassive. What about it? Pain's Rinnegan eyes looked at him. As you know, both the Kyuubi and Hachibi are always surrounded and heavily protected, unlike the other Jinchurikis who were ousted from their village, or went rogue on their own. We got lucky with the one-tailed beast infiltration. But securing the last two of the Jinchurikis will not be easy. Pain continued on, so, I came up with an additional measure that should you or anyone encounter them, aside from aiming to capture the Jinchurikis, aim to also capture their comrades. That way, it will be easier to lure them out to our hideout. I see, Itachi replied. That makes sense, Itachi thought. While it can be helpful to delay the risk of him capturing Naruto by his own hands, he still doesn't feel entirely good about this instruction. Technically, a leaf shinobi will basically be a bait. Especially the Kyuubi. I've heard that he is fully attached to his comrades. So, it will be helpful to capture someone he cherishes to make our task easier. You do know of his comrades, don't you? Aside from your younger brother, before he left the leaf? Pain asked. Itachi initially thought of Kakashi, who he worked with before during his A&B days. He knew Kakashi had been Naruto's teacher when he last visited Konoha after the third Hokage died. Aside from Kakashi and Sasuke, he heard from Deidara when they battled Naruto's team before Sasori died that Naruto also had another teammate who is the fifth Hokage's apprentice. Aside from the name Hiruno Sakura, he doesn't know anything else or what she looked like. I know of Kakashi, the copy ninja. There should be another one, who is currently fifth Hokage's apprentice, I've heard. Well, that settles it. Either one of them will do. Make sure to relay this to Kisame as well when you capture the four-tailed Jinchuriki tomorrow, Pain said. Zetsu spotted him near the borders of Amigakure and Hidden Stone. Let's ensure we capture him as well. Understood. Sakura-chan. Sakura turned around to see who's calling her. The owner of the voice was her friend, Naruto, who was waving his arms over-enthusiastically down the street. Like her, Naruto had also grown up a lot these past 5 years. Not only did he get stronger, but he also began to act mature, although slightly. Still, it's an improvement, she thought inwardly. He also still had the same whiskery lines across his face, and a friendly grin for everybody. Sakura playfully crossed her arms over her chest and walked towards Naruto. You don't need to call me that loud, Naruto, she reprimanded him. You know it was only my form of my endearment to you, Sakura-chan, Naruto replied, flashing his signature grin and putting his arm around her shoulders. Sakura chuckled. She knew Naruto was just kidding around. He used to have a big crush on her since their genin days, and she's not sure whether he still holds the same sentiments now. For her, however, she platonically loves Naruto like a brother. Whatever, Sakura said as she rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Sakura-chan. Where are you heading to, by the way? To the hospital, of course, where else? Well, I hope you're ready for our mission the day after tomorrow to Suna. I can't wait to see Gaara again, and after our mission, I'll ask him to spar with me for training, Naruto excitedly said. Sakura smiled. She and Naruto, along with the other new Team 7 members, Yamato-sensei and Sai, will be going to Suna to assist the Gaara, the current Kazekage, to host the Chunin examinations in their country. It will be a busy task, but Sakura is relieved that the Kazekage has been keeping busy after the one-tailed beast has been extracted from him by the Akatsuki and nearly lost his life had it not been for the sacrificial intervention of Elder Chiyo. Elder Chiyo gave up her own life to revive the Kazekage using her special jutsu. Sakura could not suppress a shudder. She cannot imagine how an evil organization such as Akatsuki can do these monstrous deeds that cost shinobi lives in the process. Whatever their reason is, it will not be acceptable, and she'll always detest Akatsuki. She cannot imagine if Naruto will befall the same fate as Gaara did. Naruto is one of her best friends, the only one aside from her sensei, Kakashi, who's left in the original Team 7. Her second family. Naruto waved his hand to her face when he noticed her blank expression. Earth to Sakura-chan? What are you thinking? Did you hear me? Sorry, I was out of it for a moment, Sakura smiled at Naruto, and playfully smacked his arm. When we reach Suna, make sure to address Gaara properly. He's still the respected Kazekage there. Whatever, Gaara will always be Gaara. He doesn't mind. Sakura made a stern face and was about to say something back to Naruto when she looked at her watch. Oh crap. Now you're making me late. I gotta go now, Naruto. Tons of work in the hospital, and I'd like to help Tsunade Shosho and Shizen as much as I can. Alright, do you want to grab a ramen together after you work? I'll invite Kakashi-sensei. I heard he's also coming back from another mission with Team Guy tonight, Naruto offered. I'm so sorry, but I promised Shizen that I'll work overtime tonight and tomorrow. Naruto made a face. So hardworking. Can't you do it some other time? Sakura shook her head. No, I can't, Naruto. I already promised her, and I wouldn't take it back. Especially as the hospital has a lot of workloads nowadays, she answered. We rarely see Kakashi-sensei nowadays because of the new team arrangements, and I just thought it would be a good time to catch up, Naruto pouted and his arms crossed over behind his head, kicking a stone on the ground. I'm really very sorry, Naruto. Maybe next time, Sakura guiltily said. I have to go now. That's a promise then, Sakura-chan. And next time, your treat, Naruto said mischievously before Sakura could react about her forced treat, waving off and running in the opposite direction. See you in our mission. She sighed and decided that she would make it up to him and Kakashi next time. That she hoped, as she smiled ruefully. But there would be no more next time. Sakura sat on her table, working on some paperwork, going over some patients' files. Shizen had mentioned to her that one patient of theirs from last week is already set to be discharged and will be escorted by ANBU for trial. That patient happened to be a shinobi who went rogue and robbed small villages. She updated the discharge slip and pored over the bingo book to check their patient's profile in the Rogue Ninja section to cross-check. After making some notes on the patient's file, her gaze went through several names of S-class criminals, all of them coming from different countries. Some from the village of Suna, some from the Awagakure, others from the Kumogakure, Otogakure and Kirigakure, and the remaining are from Konoha. She came across Uchiha Itachi's profile. He looked so much like Sasuke that it pains her to look at him any longer. She closed the bingo book and turned to put it back on the table when it missed and it fell on the floor, its pages facing downwards. She picked the book up and was about to close the book when she noticed that the pages were opened directly across the profile of Uchiha Sasuke. Her fingers trembled as she scanned his profile. It read a missing nin and traitor to the village. She stared at his picture and bit her lip to stop her tears from falling. Remembering Sasuke will always affect her, even after all these years. She doesn't know if it is still because of love, or just because of the accumulated feelings of pain in trying to forget him and move on. I wonder where you are now, Sasuke-kun? She whispered to his photograph, before closing the book for good and placing it away from her. Just then, the door opened and a woman with glasses appeared. Sakura-san! What is it, Megumi-san? Sakura queried. Shizen-san is in the emergency room and she requested your help. Oh, thank you. I'll be there shortly. She reached the emergency room in no time and spotted Shizen standing over an unconscious man lying on the bed. Shizen's brows are furrowed while looking at the patient's vitals on the monitor. What happened, Shizen-senpai? Sakura asked. Shizen glanced at Sakura and sighed. Over here, Shizen answered hurriedly as she motioned Sakura towards the bed. Lying on the bed was a man. His face and head was fully covered with bandages. Despite his partially healed wounds, he looks in a terrible state. This is a patient that was being attended earlier by Lady Tsunade. She partially healed him already when I arrived in this room. She told me that she found this patient unconscious in the balcony of her office. According to Lady Tsunade, the patient was unrecognizable before she healed and bandaged him. His face must have suffered burns as well. Was? Sakura inquired. That means she already knows the identity of this patient, after healing him then? Shizen nodded. Your guess is as good as mine. However, before I was able to ask the same question, she was called upon since we received an urgent message from Iwagakure. Apparently, their four-tailed Jinchuriki was already captured by Akatsuki. Since the Jinchuriki has gone rogue from them for some time now, they seem to not be too concerned about retrieving the Jinchuriki back by themselves. But they wanted to inform us since they know Konoha is actively tracking Akatsuki's movements. Sakura went still, and she couldn't help feeling sorry for the news of the captured Jinchuriki, more so that his village is not that keen to retrieve him back. That's terrible, she said sympathetically. But then, how and what in the world an unconscious man ended up on the balcony of Hokage's office? That I am curious too. But I have to leave for now, Sakura. I'll have to cover some paperwork for Lady Tsunade, but I'll need someone to take care of this patient. I am monitoring his vitals, and while most of the injuries are already healed, his pulse and heartbeat are still weak. Sakura leaned over and checked his pulse and heartbeat. Indeed, both are still weak. The man's breath itched, and she gasped when the patient's vitals suddenly dropped. She put her right ear on the man's chest, checking for his heartbeat. It is very weak, she almost cannot hear it. This is bad. His heart seemed disrupted, Sakura thought immediately. Shizen-senpai, I can take over this one. I have no doubt that somehow the burns were caused by electrocution. From the looks of it, it must be high-voltage electricity as it disrupted his heart's electrical system, forcing it into a fatal rhythm. I assume it's arrhythmia. I'll leave him with you then, Shizen said, then smiled proudly and added, I have complete faith in you. Sakura smiled, warm feelings elating her chest as she nodded at Shizen's compliment. When Shizen left the room, Sakura went to the bathroom sink and washed her hands properly first. Then, she took her surgical gloves and medical scrolls and started to work. She heaved a deep breath before taking out a scalpel as she physically cut through the man's chest cavity, enough to fit her hand and lower arm on it. She then proceeded to put her hand inside, and aimed to reach his heart directly. After reaching his heart, she carefully covered it with her medical chakra-infused hand and applied gentle, but strong strokes for constant pressure. I need to keep his blood flowing and make his heart beat normally again, Sakura thought as she squeezed his heart. Her other hand grasped the man's head carefully as she lowered her mouth to the open slit of his bandaged mouth and concentrated to provide him CPR. She glanced at the man's bandaged face and took note that he already stabilized his breathing, but is still unconscious. She continued the physical pumping of his heart, while providing him CPR to keep his bodily functions stable. When she finally felt that his heart started pumping normally again, she glanced at the monitor, and was relieved to see his vitals become stable once more. She quickly proceeded to close the cut she made in her chest using her medical ninjutsu, as she glanced at the clock. It took her an hour for the procedure, it seems. Just then, Shizen opened the door and nodded at Sakura. Lady Tsunade wants you to come to her office, Sakura. Your team is already there for an emergency mission. Sakura furrowed her brows in confusion. But we have a mission in Suna shortly. It seems your mission to Suna will be given to Team Asuma instead, Shizen replied. Do you have an idea on what the emergency mission is about then? Sakura asked as she proceeded to pack up and leave. Yes, I happened to mention it to you earlier too, Shizen said, as Sakura's hands froze on the clasp of her medical pouch. It will be to track the Akatsuki and retrieve the four-tailed Jinchuriki. So, luring a bait, huh? A shark-faced man named Kisame drawled, standing up and turning to follow a raven-haired man with a Sharingan out of the cave. That shouldn't be too difficult. Most recently, we just got the four-tailed Jinchuriki captured. I wonder when and where we can get across to the next one, growled Kisame while walking and swinging the unconscious four-tailed Jinchuriki on the back of his Samehada. Itachi glanced at the unconscious Jinchuriki, noting that it's a middle-aged man. You have to handle elders with a bit more care, if I were you, he said. You're saying that because you're not the one who worked so hard to capture him, Kisame accused playfully. Well, it doesn't matter. I can handle him myself even without your genjutsu, he said. HN? Kisame sighed. He was used to his partner's one-word responses. Being teamed up with him for years, he was used to it. Although he is twice as big as Itachi, he didn't dare try to pick up an argument with him. Not that he's scared or anything, but he respects Itachi the same way he does with Pain, unlike the other members of Akatsuki in which he would willingly ground them with his beloved Samehada. They began hopping from tree to tree within the forest towards their hideout. Roughly about 2 hours after they began their trip, Itachi sensed a mix of familiar and unfamiliar chakra signatures zooming towards their direction, to his displeasure. Itachi quickly snapped his eyes wide open as he activated his Sharingan. 3 tomos immediately appeared in his red orbs as he stopped on their tracks and landed on the grassy ground. Kisame followed suit, lowering the handle of his Samehada to drop the unconscious Jinchuriki on the ground. 2 kunais flew swiftly towards their direction. Kisame smartly deflected the attacks with his sword. Pathetic, he murmured. But Itachi knew better. He flashed his Sharingan behind Kisame. No! Behind you! Fortunately, just in time, Kisame turned around and swung his Samehada again to block a chakra-infused shuriken aimed right at him. The sharp edge of the chakra-infused shuriken was able to put a small gash through Kisame's bluish cheek, even after he dodged it timely. At that time, 4 shinobi appeared. Itachi was able to recognize half of them, his stomach dropping unpleasantly. The first one he recognized is the brown-haired man with large black eyes, whose name is Yamato. He worked with him in ANBU Black Ops, before he annihilated his clan. The second one is the blonde boy with blue eyes and whiskers across his face. Naruto Uzumaki, the nine-tailed Jinchuriki and whom he and Kisame also attempted to capture 3 years prior. The other 2 are shinobis not recognized by Itachi at all. The third one is a tall, pale-skinned boy with black hair and black eyes, the kind who resembles a little bit of the physical features of his younger brother, Sasuke. The last one is a kunoichi with visible pink hair and bright, emerald-green eyes. He thought for a brief second he somehow recognized the kunoichi for a bit, though he didn't know her name. He was sure she is the same young pink-haired girl wearing a red ribbon headband back in Sasuke's academy. After all, that hair color isn't something very common. He saw her briefly in one instance when he used to pick up Sasuke after his classes, where he saw her shyly peeking over at Sasuke's direction and obviously wanting to get his attention. He knows it's the same girl, because he recalled that young, innocent Sasuke once asked him how to start a conversation with a certain pink-haired girl in his class. Itachi inwardly sighed darkly as he closed his eyes. As much as possible, he does not wish to encounter hidden leaf shinobis by himself as much as possible, given his personal agenda. But at this point, he has no choice. The only thing he can do now, to not rouse suspicions, would be to stick to the alternative plan Pain mentioned. Well, luck is on our side today, Itachi. Imagine coming across 2 Jinchurikis without a sweat. Kisame grinned evilly. Naruto pointed his finger towards Itachi. You! He growled angrily. A pleasant meeting the both of you again, Yamato-san and Naruto-kun. Itachi greeted cordially. Kisame chuckled. Naruto gritted his teeth in anger, and his eyes became somewhat red, no longer blue. A red chakra flashed around him suddenly, making the situation intense. Yamato made a grab for Naruto's shoulder to stop him. Uchiha Itachi. It has been a long time. And you're with Hashige Kisame, he said coldly. Oh, I'm glad you knew me. I was afraid that Itachi's the only popular one, especially with the ladies, Kisame grinned mischievously. Well, no matter, because we're going to capture the Jinchuriki and kill all of you anyway. Itachi scowled. Contrary to Kisame's remark about being a lucky day, Itachi felt otherwise. It seems that Wagakure had informed Konoha of their capture of the Jinchuriki, and Konoha sent a retrieval mission team. He does not wish a full-blown fight with 4 grown shinobi, one being a former ANBU and one an overdetermined Jinchuriki. He does not know the fighting styles of the other 2 yet, but somehow he felt he should not underestimate them likewise. Yamato ignored him. That's not going to be easy, we'll stop you. We do not wish for a fight, Itachi said, knowing full well that Konoha shinobi were not known to back down from a fight. Just give us Naruto, and there will be no need for anyone to die today, he added, sticking to his double spy role. The pink-haired kunoichi chuckled humorlessly at the back. Oh, going soft now, aren't you? Like Naruto, He could feel the same hate in her eyes directed at him, stronger than directed in Kisame's direction. "Sakura, be careful," Yamato warned. Kisame pointed his Samehada towards the pink-haired Kunoichi's direction. "Smart mouth, aren't you, Kunoichi? Well, I'll let my sword do the talking." But Itachi raised his hand to stop Kisame. "No, Kisame, Sakura?" The pink-haired Kunoichi then must be the Haruno Sakura who fought against Sasori, Itachi thought. No wonder there was a strong fury from her directed at him. Like Naruto, she was also the former teammate of Sasuke before the latter went missing. Nin. Don't underestimate them. They're my younger brother's former teammates. This girl must be the one with Chio-san from the sand who fought with Sasori. Kisame did not drop his Samehada, but stopped, nodding in comprehension and exchanging a knowing glance with Itachi, before turning his attention to the Leaf Ninjas. "Oh, so you killed Sasori, together with that old hag from Suna," Sakura and Naruto further grimaced on this. "Well, this could be fun," he added. "We only need you, Naruto. We do not wish to fight you," Itachi said. "What do you want from me? Give Sasuke back to us," Naruto growled. Itachi smirked, amused. "Naruto-kun, I certainly did not force my foolish little brother to leave Konoha," Kisame chuckled. "It was your fault he left. It's all because of you," Naruto shouted. Itachi stopped smirking, but remained with his impassive face. Yamato went to his combat wood-style jutsu stance. "We will bring you to Konoha, to atone for your crimes." Sai did the same stance, getting ready for his ink drawing technique. The Kunoichi put her hands on her pouch, also ready for a fight. Itachi shut his eyes with a closed expression. Kisame smirked beside him. "Well, it seems that we have no other choice." Then Kisame added excitedly, "Let's see what you can make of the Samehada." Naruto, unable to keep himself further, darted in rage towards Kisame and Itachi with Bunshin clones. "Naruto, wait!" Yamato yelled. Then he turned to both Sai and Sakura. "I'm going to cover Naruto as much as possible. He's the one they're after. You both separate Kisame from Itachi. While he's not a fatal genjutsu user like Itachi, he is a formidable missing Nin from the mist. That sword he wields, that's a menace, try not to get your chakra absorbed by it," Yamato explained quickly as he darted off to join Naruto against Itachi. "Mokuton, Mokujihiki!" Yamato shouted as a dome of intertwined branches materialized from the ground to trap Itachi. Itachi dodged them, but then was kicked by one of Naruto's clones back to the intertwined branches. The branches immediately grasped Itachi's ankles, to his arms and to his chest where he was trapped. "Hell yeah!" Naruto yelled, but then gritted his teeth when he realized he's suddenly the one being trapped by the branches. "Don't be complacent, Naruto. That's his genjutsu. Don't look at his eyes," Yamato warned. Itachi watched Naruto struggle against the branches, but then disappeared in a puff of smoke. "Shadow clone, huh?" Itachi drawled lazily as he turned to the true Naruto behind Yamato. He turned to the other fight on his right and saw the pink-haired Kunoichi charge to Kisame without further ado, unleashing her strong punches against the mist shinobi. The pale-skinned shinobi, on the other hand, summoned his ink bird drawing and flew above, covering the Kunoichi as he hurled his other ink beast drawings towards Kisame. Kisame grinned excitedly. Unlike Itachi, Kisame obviously is in the mood for a full-blown fight. "Whoa, you sure have those mean punches for a small girl, Kunoichi," he said as he dodged Sai's drawings and swung on it with his Samehada. Sakura ignored Kisame and continued to hurl her punches to him. "Water release, water shark bullet technique," Kisame roared. It hit Sakura, to Kisame's satisfaction. "Sakura-chan!" Naruto yelled. Naruto is attached to his teammates, that's for sure, Itachi thought. He thought of Pain's instructions. If Kakashi is not here, then automatically, Naruto's female teammate would do. "Too bad, Pinky," Kisame smirked triumphantly, vanishing in the instant when he noticed she turned into a log. "Kawarimi no jutsu, huh?" He turned to find where she went off to, as he noticed she can mask her chakra very well. He failed to notice in time that she came from above Sai's ink bird, jumping in front of him and narrowly missing her punch which hit the tree just behind him. The huge tree split cleanly in half, much to Itachi and Kisame's surprise. Itachi, little distracted from the sight, quickly assumed that the Kunoichi is not someone to underestimate. Her taijutsu is lethal, and if one of them gets hit by her punch, they'd surely call it a day. This will not do, Itachi thought. Naruto took advantage of Itachi's light distraction and then charged at him with his Rasengan. It hit Itachi's middle, but Itachi deflected it on time with his genjutsu, disappearing in multiple crows to Naruto's surprise. Naruto whirled around and saw Itachi standing side by side with Kisame. This can be troublesome, right, Itachi? Kisame sneered. But I'd say we can manage despite being outnumbered. No, we cannot risk angering the Jinchuriki too much. The tailed beast inside him is something we cannot subdue only with the two of us, Itachi said while thinking the contrary. He needs to delay in capturing Naruto as much as possible. We just need to distract them further. I did not expect the girl and the ink boy to be that problematic. Let's do the plan, he insisted. Figures. So, what will we do? Itachi glanced quickly at Kisame and said quietly, leave the kunoichi to me. The rest, please manage. Kisame nodded in understanding and hurled off towards the leaf male shinobi and executed a series of hand seals. This is a chakra-consuming jutsu, he sneered. But then, no sweat. Unlike you, Itachi, I have massive reserves, he added wickedly. Water prison shark dance technique. A massive dome of water then followed Kisame, allowing him to drown and trap Yamato, Naruto and Sai all at once, all of them unable to use any counter-jutsu. It's hard to breathe in here, Naruto sputtered. This is bad, I am unable to use my wood techniques inside this dome, Yamato snarled, gasping for breath. Naruto, Sai, I want you both release simultaneous chakra from all of your pressure points. This can take time, but this is the only option for now. I am not sure if Sakura brought sealing scrolls with her. How will releasing chakra from our pressure points be effective? Sai asked hoarsely. The accumulated released chakra from all our pressure points can increase the water volume inside this prison beyond what it could contain, which will allow it to burst. Yamato furrowed his brow. However, this will not be easy as the water prison released by Kisame is larger than necessary. I assume it was for the reason to reach you from the aerial as well, Sai. And since he did not use his shadow clone for this technique, I assumed he needed his own self to do this technique, given the amount of chakra needed. Aside from that, as this water prison jutsu effectively works better against one-on-one, this jutsu is not made to last with multiple people inside. Itachi then walked towards Sakura, taking advantage of her distraction on the massive water dome that enclosed her teammates. She began darting to them, unleashing her sealing scrolls. Itachi, who understood what Sakura was about to do to counter Kisame's water prison, swiftly connected his kick to her abdomen as she flew back and hit her back against a tree. Sakura-chan! Naruto yelled inside the water dome. Sakura rose back up her feet. She healed her minor broken ribs, glaring at Itachi. A taijutsu medic nin? Not a bad combination, Itachi thought. It was an odd mix, as medics are usually not for combat, and remain at the back of the battlefield. An odd mix like herself, with her unique, distracting pink hair and bright green eyes. I urge you to not waste your chakra on me. It's no use. With these eyes of mine, Itachi said as he walked closer towards the kunoichi. Sakura gritted her teeth angrily. And what makes you think I cannot dispel genjutsu? Itachi raised his brow. You're already inside my genjutsu, why don't you take a look? Sakura looked at her surroundings and found that Yamato, Naruto, and Sai were no longer in the water prison and they're all unconscious on the ground, seemingly drowned. No, Sakura thought. I can do better than this. Kai! She mustered inwardly, effectively and determinedly using her chakra control to manipulate and break free from Itachi's genjutsu. Impressive, Itachi thought. She can dispel genjutsu. There are few people who can dispel his genjutsu, much less with non-Sharingan wielders. It seems you have a natural affinity to dispel genjutsu, along with impressive chakra control, Itachi observed simply. I'll make sure your genjutsu won't work on me, Sakura replied, closing her eyes. Let's see, Itachi thought. You really think so? Itachi asked softly, but in a different, rather familiar voice. When Sakura opened her eyes, she did not see Itachi anymore. Instead, she is seeing another raven-haired boy. However, the shade of the hair is much darker, and his spiky hair runs upward similar to a chicken butt. He is wearing the same outfit she saw him last, back in the Snake Sanin's hideout, a white loose long-sleeved top with a slit that exposes his muscular chest, and dark shinobi pants with a purple cloth wrapped around his waist tied up by an upside-down purple ribbon at the back. This man's complexion is also fairer, and he does not have the stress lines the earlier man she talked to possesses. Lastly, the eyes boring into her were the onyx orbs that gives her that familiar pang in the heart. The same orbs she used to stare so much back when she was young, back when she was still a genin back in Orochimaru's hideout 2 years prior. You can't use Sasuke-kun as an illusion against me, she hissed, as she tried to dispel the genjutsu, but found that she was unable to. Was it because this genjutsu was stronger than the earlier one he casted on her? Or, she swallowed her throat painfully, was this somehow the real Sasuke-kun? If this is an illusion, the Sasuke in front of her said, seemingly understanding her current thoughts. He inched his steps closer towards her, until they were merely a foot apart, and his Sharingan activated into those familiar red irises. Then, why did you not try harder to get out of it? Sakura swallowed her throat once more. The proximity with this Sasuke, whether real or not, was making her drop her defenses pathetically. He continued, inching closer to her when she failed to respond. I'll tell you, he murmured, as he grabbed hold of Sakura's chin to make her look at him directly into his eyes, before turning his lips beside Sakura's left cheek, barely hovering her left ear. You're a silly girl, who's in love with my foolish little brother? He whispered before looking back at Sakura's face, his eyes blazing with his Sharingan. And then, by a split second before Sakura lost consciousness, the Sasuke in front of her disappeared and was replaced by Itachi once more. It seems a peaceful Sunday morning in the Hidden Leaf Village, not until a loud slamming of a hand on the desk was heard and emanated from within the walls of the Godame's office. We don't have enough time to waste, I have to go and find Sakura-chan, Naruto's angry voice yelled. I'll hunt those Akatsuki myself. No, Kakashi said. They're after you. As much as it displeases you to hear, I am assuming they took Sakura as a hostage. They obviously think they can lure you in. Does no one understand? I can't just stand here and not rescue Sakura-chan, shouted Naruto. It's all my fault. I am supposed to be their target, he added, clenching his fists. Tsunade, who was silently listening to Yamato's explanation on what transpired during their mission, spoke. Naruto, Sakura is my precious apprentice, and I also wanted to go there by myself and take her from their clutches. Shizen sighed disbelievingly, but what do they need Sakura for? I know they're after Naruto. Why take Sakura? Jiraiya, who was also in the office, spoke while leaning against the wall. I am guessing because they don't want to engage in a full-blown fight against 4 ninjas at once. Then he added, and Itachi knows he cannot risk Naruto losing control of the Kyuubi, so taking another comrade to lure Naruto eventually would definitely be one of Akatsuki's plans. That makes sense, Yamato piped in. It happened when we were trapped in this massive water prison the mist Nin released. Sakura is trapped in Itachi's genjutsu. At first, she dispelled it. But Itachi lodged another genjutsu at her, and I assume it's a stronger one as she was not able to dispel it anymore. She fell unconscious, and then the Uchiha took her and signaled for the Mist Shinobi to release us as they went away, taking also the Jinchuriki with them. We tried to follow them, but the Uchiha released this black fire jutsu, and we were trapped again. They escaped with Sakura, Sai explained. All of them fell silent. I just can't understand, Naruto gritted his teeth in frustration. I am supposed to be the one they're after. For now, what we need is a plan, Kakashi said, putting his right hand on Naruto's left shoulder, in an attempt to comfort him. A careful, smart retrieval plan if you asked me, Shikamaru, who was also called upon from his home for this urgent meeting, added simply. Man, this is too troublesome early in the morning, he thought inwardly. Tsunade, who was curiously calm all throughout the discussion, exchanged glances with Jiraiya and smiled slightly. It did not miss Kakashi's notion, even with his Sharingan deactivated. But then, Kakashi observed. It seems like Godame already has a plan in motion. Everyone looked from Kakashi to Tsunade at once. Naruto darted immediately to Tsunade's desk, both hands gripping the sides of the desks tightly. Tell us, please let me do something, Naruto pleaded. Tsunade sighed deeply. Naruto, calm down, and I want you all in this room to listen closely. And no one apart from us in this room will be allowed to know of this plan. She then turned her serious expression to each of everyone in the room. Understand? They all nodded. It carries a certain risk, so absolute discretion should be the first thing in this case, Jiraiya said. You already know of Godame's plan? Yamato asked Jiraiya, surprised. Jiraiya smirked. Well, we initially talked about this before, so I might say yes, he said before adding, I had no idea though that it would happen sooner than anticipated, right, Tsunade? They must have been in a hurry to accumulate all the tailed beasts, Tsunade replied. In any case, I have shared my growing worry with Jiraiya back when the Kazekage was captured by Akatsuki. We anticipated that we need to be more ready and gather as much as intel about Akatsuki as soon as possible. Tsunade heaved a deep breath, before she continued. We thought that the quickest way to get intel from Akatsuki is not from working on the outside. It must be from within. Kakashi, Yamato, Shikamaru, Shizen and Sai all displayed visible signs of shock mixed with quick comprehension. Except for Naruto. But Naruto stammered. I don't understand. What's got Sakura-chan got to do with this? Don't you still understand, Naruto? Jiraiya asked, raising his brow. It means that we thought to plant someone from our village to infiltrate Akatsuki, Naruto's cerulean blue eyes widened, finally understanding. Jiraiya started to pace the office slowly, while explaining, "We all know that's not an easy feat. Akatsuki is a very cautious and formidable organization. They even get their members by hiring them directly." Tsunade lowered her eyes and clasped both her hands under her chin, still wearing her serious expression. "But we do know that there'll come a time when they will try to capture you or someone to lure you out from our clutches," then she added, looking directly at Naruto. "That's why we think it would be best that if that happened, we have to take the opportunity and grasp it." But Naruto sputtered weakly, "As Sakura-chan, she knows about this? How could you? Did she even agree? She did not know she's going to be captured." Kakashi piped in, his brows crinkled with worry and understanding, before looking at Tsunade. "It seems she already knows, and agreed to it, hasn't she?" Naruto whirled around and looked at Kakashi aghast. Tsunade sighed again. "Yes, we had a talk when she came back to the village after her fight with Sasori. In fact, the idea came from her, Kakashi." Kakashi's eyes widened. Everyone in the room, except Jiraiya, all gasped in surprise. "She was always worried after the fight with Sasori. She told me," Tsunade glanced at Naruto, "that she cannot bear to have one of her best friends go the same way as the Kazekage did. She said if Elder Chiyo wasn't there." She fell silent, unable to continue further. She swallowed her throat before continuing. As she's always teamed up with Naruto on missions, she clearly understood the context and premise of this plan. She knew Akatsuki will not bat an eye to killing her should her true intentions be made known. Thus, she planned to negotiate with them in case she is captured. And that is to offer them her medical skills and services by being a member, and in turn, to not kill Naruto even after they capture the Kyuubi and to not destroy the villages as much as possible. Thus, with that and internally, accomplishing her hidden agenda to gather as much as intel from within. "But wait, we all know when the Akatsuki captures a Jinchuriki, the Jinchuriki dies. We know what happened to Gaara," Shikamaru persisted. "That's the case with the other Jinchuriki. For Naruto, I think it will be different," Jiraiya answered. "Huh?" Naruto asked, suddenly distracted. "Why would I be any different?" Jiraiya closed his eyes. "Minato, your father told me this before you were born. Uzumaki bloodlines are special. Aside from massive chakra reserves, Uzumaki clan has exceptionally strong life force and vitality. While most Jinchuriki can die instantly, it can be held different for you." "That can be just a mere assumption," Naruto shaking his head. "What's the proof, if it did not happen yet to me?" "Because Kushina, your mother, survived, although weak after Madara extracted the Kyuubi during her childbirth. She died because of the injury itself when she and Minato shielded you from the Kyuubi's attack," Jiraiya explained. When Naruto stood frozen in shock, Jiraiya promptly continued, "So, even if you get to be captured by Akatsuki, more or less by Sakura herself while being a double agent spy, you will not die. The tailed beast will be gone though, but we will try our best, along with the allied nations, to stop this from happening, of course, and prevent the looming war ahead." "But this still does not make sense," Shizen said weakly. "Sakura knows Akatsuki has evil plans that she needs to be doing by herself the moment she becomes a member. We all know for now, from her fight with Sasori, that Akatsuki aims for world peace, but that comes with unacceptable methods which they are doing now. We did not have any record yet that Akatsuki intentionally destroyed a village, as they purely focused on capturing the tailed beasts. The only exception was with the Kazekage, where the Akatsuki bomb user almost blasted the village. And that is only because he was well protected within Suna," Tsunade answered. "But along the way, people and allies can die," Shikamaru said slowly. Jiraiya sighed deeply. "In war, sacrifices are inevitable. The same way Sakura made herself a sacrifice," he added, "we just have to try our best to prevent these happening, and limit casualties and more innocent lives involved." Everyone fell silent. "I still don't understand, why is she willing to go that far for me?" Naruto said weakly. "Putting herself in that kind of danger?" Tsunade smiled sadly. "Yes, but it's not just mainly for you, Naruto. She does this to protect Konoha, her home. She already lost her parents, and she can't fathom if her home and her comrades are taken away from her too." She exhaled an amused smile to Naruto. "Well, I told her she can even compete with you on becoming the next Hokage. Her dedication to protect Konoha is also above my expectations." Jiraiya chuckled at Tsunade. "She could even give you a run for your money, Tsunade." "I still find this risky," Sai quipped. "I've worked with the Root before, and dark organizations such as Akatsuki won't really fall for that negotiation unless Sakura has something up her sleeve to offer. I know she's strong, but I'm not even sure if that's enough to convince this Akatsuki." "She does have something up her sleeve," Tsunade said, exchanging glances again with Jiraiya, who in turn smirked at her. Just trust her. Sakura opened her eyes with a start. She scanned her surroundings briefly, while sitting up on the cold ground, and found rocky cave walls. She was also tied up by chakra strings. She realized that she was indeed captured and must be in their hideout. About time, she sighed bitterly. She wished she had indeed gone for a get-together with Team 7 when Naruto asked before she was captured. She doesn't know what will happen to her now at this point, if her plans will work. You're awake. Sakura turned to the owner of the voice, distracting her from her musings. The voice came from a man with an orange spiky hair, slowly walking towards her from the entryway of the room. What surprised Sakura is the eccentric appearance of the man. The man's face is covered in piercings, and he has frighteningly odd purple eyes that have a swirling pattern. Behind him is a woman with short blue hair with a bun and amber eyes. She has a light blue paper flower clipped on her bun. Sakura's eyes narrowed into slits to pain. Who are you? You are Haruno Sakura, the Kyuubi's friend. The man said, in an authoritative voice. You're not answering my question, Sakura said fiercely. Just then, one by one, the Akatsuki members walked inside the room. She can see a man with an orange swirl mask and black hair. The mask had a hole on its right side for his right eye, but Sakura can't see past the hole. There's another man who has medium-length gray hair and distinctive purple eyes, and he is holding a triple-bladed scythe on his back. Beside him stood a tall man with a gray hood over his face and black mask. The only visible features she could make were his eyes with unusual coloring. It has green irides, no pupils and red sclerae. The other one should be the most eccentric of them all. He looks like a Venus flytrap plant enveloping a single body that seemed to have dual personalities and divided features with which the first half is black and the other half is white. He looks so inhuman, Sakura wonders what kind of creature this is. The other members were ones she recognized, having been acquainted with them from one point to another: Deidara, Kisame and her captor, Itachi. We are all ready for the extraction of the Yambi, the masked man excitedly squeaked. Sakura looked at him, slightly distracted. In such a gloomy organization, his voice and vibe seemed off. It's like a light, goofy cartoon character. She wonders if this kind of personality is even allowed. It's good that all members are here today. It will be quicker than using those astral projections around, Kisame said. Who's that wench? The man with gray hair and purple eyes suddenly inquired, pointing at Sakura with his scythe. I recognize her, Deidara said. She's one of those brats who fought my man, Sasori, and killed him, HN. Ah, the man with the gray hood and black mask and green irides spoke with comprehension. Kyuubi's friend. The bait, Sakura grimaced upon hearing the unpleasant terms they used to address her. Wench? Brat? Bait? Who captured her then? The flytrap man asked. We did, Kisame said. We were actually outnumbered, and Itachi has not yet fully recovered. The Kyuubi was about to get ballistic, but we managed to get this one before things get ugly and troublesome. Toby thinks the bait looks like a doll. She is very pretty. And Toby likes pretty things, the orange masked man exclaimed. Itachi glanced sideways at the man, with slightly narrowed eyes. Madara still sure loves to role-play, doesn't he? Itachi thought. She sure is, Deidara mused distractedly, rubbing his chin and looking at Sakura with a vague, faraway expression. Everyone looked at him, including Sakura, their eyebrows raised. Suddenly realizing his slip-up, Deidara quickly said, I haven't focused on her appearance clearly when we fought them before with Sasori, with everything going on and stuff, HN. The man with piercings spoke to the members, ignoring Deidara's statement. We'll start the extraction in a moment, then turned to Sakura. I am Pain, I am God. He then added, this is Akatsuki and I am the leader. I assume you're aware on why we captured you. To learn Naruto, no doubt, Sakura replied dryly. Pain looked at her with those intimidating orbs. That, and based on our intel, you also happen to be the 5th Hokage's apprentice, and a skilled medic nin. It seems we could make quite good use of you. Sakura narrowed her eyes again. You captured me to become a bait, and you expect to make good use of my abilities? Kisame sneered. Oh, she's feisty. You will do what is commanded to you, Pain commanded, before adding in an authoritative tone, as if you have a choice. Sakura clenched her fists. Oh, I do, she said softly. Everyone looked at her with an unreadable expression. Then Haiden laughed mockingly. Trying to be brave before you die, aren't you, wench? Hey, leader, why don't I sacrifice her for my rituals? Not yet, Pain said to Haiden, before turning back to Sakura. Explain yourself, he ordered simply. This is it, Sakura thought. She had imagined how this scene would happen numerous times, ever since she proposed the plan to Tsunade and Jiraiya. She rehearsed anticipated questions and answers, but it never beat her pounding heart on what can possibly happen if all comes fail. Oh well, I'd been prepared to die ever since I accepted this mission, she thought ruefully. But she wanted to at least die trying and giving it her best shot. I do not wish to just be a bait, Sakura said. Let me be a member of this organization. Ever since that fight with Sasori, I wanted to get an in-depth explanation of what Akatsuki's goal of world peace meant. I wanted to know if it aligns my own desire for this world. Payne's eyebrow rose higher, and spoke in a voice which hinted at danger. And what makes you think, he muttered, we could trust you? That you are not saying this, just because you wish to infiltrate our organization and know of our secrets? Sakura looked at Payne unflinchingly, though inside, she wanted to blast off in a run and never look back. I have no more family left in Konoha. My parents, they died because of the war between nations. Innocent casualties. Civilians who were caught in shinobi war, she smiled bitterly. It was true, her parents died 2 years ago. A large group of shinobi from Iwagakure infiltrated the village and targeted civilians to wage a war against Konoha, their revenge plot from the Third Shinobi War. She was on a mission back then, and it distraught her to come home to find that she's already orphaned and was not able to protect her family. She fell into a serious depression during those times, having consecutively experienced a heartbreak from Sasuke leaving the village, and another heartbreak of her parents dying. She continued, I seek for permanent peace, not just temporary ones the nations are intent on keeping for now. And if Akatsuki aims to achieve that, I see no reason to ally myself to any other nation. But aren't you loyal to Konoha? You fought so hard in protecting your Kyuubi friend, even killed my man, Sasori, Deidara interrupted. Do you expect me to come marching down Akatsuki's front doors and ask you guys to hire me? Like, I don't even know where Akatsuki usually is. And I doubt you'll be entertaining me the moment I do that without a kunai slashing down my throat. Kisame sniggered at the pinkhead's sarcastic response to Deidara. Sakura glared at him, before continuing, of course, Konoha's my home, that's where I was born. Nothing could change that. I protected Konoha as I have my duty as a kunoichi. But over time, while these wars still never cease, day by day it is making me realize that this is not the end goal I am fighting so hard for. You know fully well that for this goal you say you desire as much as we do, Pain said slowly. That we do acquire the tailed beasts. Your Kyuubi friend will die eventually, and you will even lend a helping hand on that. Sakura tried her best to not flinch and remained an impassive expression. Naruto will not die during the extraction, I am sure of that. Pain sneered. What makes you confidently say so? Because he has an Uzumaki bloodline. I am sure you understand how they have special chakra and life force, unlike other bloodlines, she replied promptly. She saw the orange-masked man move a bit, glancing at Pain and then turning stare right at her. Pain looked at her, still unsure. We cannot avoid war during the process. We will infiltrate villages if possible to get the tailed beasts, and lead to casualties. Sacrifices are made for the better good, Sakura said. I know Akatsuki isn't into full-blown wars, and you limit casualties as much as you can. The plant-like man broke his silence and spoke cautiously, it still doesn't make sense. Let's say you have the same goals, but it may not be enough. Aside from being a skilled medic, what is it that you can put on the table to make us fully trust you? As expected, Sakura thought. Akatsuki will not really trust some outsider rather easily. Still, she didn't agree to this plan unprepared. I see, so you're still doubting my skills, huh? She huffed. I have had enough explanations. Let me prove it to you instead. Pain's eyebrow rose again. And what are you intending to prove? He asked skeptically. After you release me from these chakra strings, please provide me with a living person and a corpse, or any DNA of a corpse, she winced inwardly, with what she was currently saying. Get a hold of yourself, Sakura, she thought. You need to sound as convincing as possible. If all goes well, this will put a nail on the coffin. I'll show you a forbidden technique that I studied which was developed by the second Hokage, a technique Akatsuki can use as a weapon to achieve its goals and help the nations lower into submission instead of waging into a full-blown war. And what is it? Pain inquired, suddenly curious. The Edo Tensei, Impure World Reincarnation. We have to arrange a retrieval operation for Sakura, Tsunade said, while pacing in her office later that afternoon, after Naruto, Yamato, Sai and Shikamaru left. I already sent word to the Kazakage that an emergency happened while the team is on their way to Suna and that I will be sending Team Asuma to assist the hosting of their Chunin examinations instead. They are worried, and asked if they needed to send back UPS, but since they don't know of the plan, I told them we can manage. Kakashi nodded. The Akatsuki will indeed be suspicious if we don't do anything yet at this point. It has been a day after the capture, and they would expect us to retaliate. They sure will. We still don't know if Sakura managed to convince them of the negotiation. So we have to act our part swiftly too, Jiraiya said. Tsunade looked outside, her hands perched on the windowsill. I am going to assemble the strongest ninjas for this mission, especially as we are going to send Naruto back to make it more convincing to them. Tsunade hoped that the retrieval mission's true goal will be a success, with Sakura already having infiltrated Akatsuki as a member and assumed her double agent role, and showing the Akatsuki members that she no longer allies herself with Konoha in front of Akatsuki. Well, let me join this mission. They surely will be more cautious if a Sannin comes and I can give added protection to Naruto. We still can't risk Naruto's safety, Jiraiya said. That's helpful. Kakashi, I need you also to go with them. Your dog's summons might be of use to further track Sakura and Akatsuki. You don't need to tell me, you know I'll go, Kakashi replied. I am also thinking of sending another team to make it more convincing, since they do not know the plan. Take Team Guy with you. We can leave before daybreak tomorrow, Kakashi. I'll tell Naruto to prepare, Jiraiya said. Kakashi nodded. Tsunade pinched the bridge of her nose and shut her eyes warily. I place my full trust in you both. Don't let Naruto be captured and make Sakura's efforts in vain. We won't, don't worry. And one more thing, Tsunade said, as Jiraiya and Kakashi turned to glance at her. Don't die. Free from the chakra strings binding her from before, Sakura now wished she was back to being tied up. In front of her now is the corpse of a female who apparently was the dead shell of the two-tailed Jinchuriki whom Akatsuki haven't disposed of yet after the extraction. There was another person, an unknown man, who was unconscious in front of her. The masked man, who calls himself Toby, excitedly and proudly said he quickly captured the civilian man outside their hideout for her experiment. The rest of the members assembled in front of her, curiously waiting for her next action. Itachi eyed the pinkette carefully. If what all she said earlier was true, did this mean she betrayed Konoha? Does this make her his foe too? However, given her sentiments previously, her goals seemed to be similarly coincided with his. While Itachi hated wars, he joined the Akatsuki not because he agreed with their goals, but as a strategic move to protect the Hidden Leaf Village and his younger brother, Sasuke, from the inside. After he massacred his clan and became a rogue ninja, joining the Akatsuki allowed him to operate as a double agent to monitor the organization's movements and prevent them from attacking Konoha. This confused Itachi. The pinkette does not seem to be like someone who will betray her comrades and her village. Perhaps Konoha sent her as a spy? It doesn't make sense though, as he already assumed that role for many years now. But only the elders knew of this, and the third Hokage, who died already. The current Hokage does not have any idea about his role yet. But then, hearing the pinkette coldly saying of a weapon to prove herself, he is unable to decipher the kunoichi's true intentions. Sakura walked towards the corpse of the former two-tailed Jinchuriki, keeping her face expressionless as she could. She obtained blood from her syringe, before placing the blood in a special scroll. She then performed a series of hand seals, which formed a seal on the ground and the living, unconscious civilian at the center of the seal. The dust and ash suddenly surrounded the civilian man, his mouth forming in an agonized scream as it began to envelop his whole being. What replaced the civilian is the reanimated former two-tailed Jinchuriki. Her features are the same, except her eyes are black and the pupils are red. How many times have you done this before? Pain inquired. This is only my second time. The first time is only to test it, as I already learned and understood the fundamentals. No one knows, since it is a forbidden technique, and it requires a living person as a sacrifice. Sakura explained, hoping no one will notice her uneasiness. This is partially true, however. Tsunade knew and was present the first time she did it in order to prepare for this moment. The living sacrifice they used was a prisoner who was sentenced to death, and she tested it using her mother's DNA. But Akatsuki need not know the full details anyway. And how do they turn into formidable weapons that can make nations submit their defenses? The plant-like man, who Sakura heard, was named Zetsu. Reanimated corpses basically cannot die. They are immortal. The second Hokage developed them originally to gain strategic and military advantage without risking casualties from their own. With this, former Akatsuki members who died, or the Jinchurikis, or any other strong shinobi, that is if we have their DNAs, can be revived and impose fear and disrupt the enemy morale as they cannot be killed. To ensure they do your bidding, the caster can erase their free will by implanting a talisman inside them, Sakura explained promptly, as she placed a kunai with talisman on the reanimation's head. And it will do your bidding. The technique demands an incredible amount of chakra and precise control to maintain, often tiring out even highly skilled users. The more reanimation is done, the more chakra and control is required. Also, there's a daunting task of procuring the dead person's DNA. It may be hair, blood, or any limbs. The living person to be sacrificed can be easier to obtain, she continued, as she trailed. If they cannot be killed, how can they be disposed of if not needed anymore? Pain questioned. I am the only one who can deactivate the jutsu by using special hand seals. Even if you kill me, the reanimation will not cease to exist. Pain and Conan exchanged glances, before shooting a furtive look with Madara. No one noticed, as the rest of Akatsuki were all busy looking at the reanimation and Sakura, but those furtive glances did not escape Itachi's sharp senses. Pain then turned to Sakura. If by any chance you are proven to betray the Akatsuki, we will kill you without doubt, he warned as he turned to leave. The rest of the Akatsuki members turned to follow Pain. I guess that means I will be under probation, then, Sakura replied humorlessly. The blue-haired Akatsuki female member turned to Sakura. My name is Conan. Follow me, we will begin the extraction process soon. But before that I need to guide you on the process and the materials you need to use during the extraction. Sakura gulped inwardly. Just my luck, my first day as an Akatsuki member and I'll already participate to extract the four-tailed beast, she thought, her stomach plummeting down. Sakura walked across the eerie and silent cave, along with Conan. The sound of their footsteps echoed throughout the cave, and Sakura continued to stare at Conan cautiously and suspiciously as they were walking. She couldn't trust this woman nor everybody else, she reminded herself firmly. Conan may look like an innocent angel, but Sakura does not know what her true intentions are, like the rest of the Akatsuki. The only person she can put her trust with now is herself. Where are we, by the way? Sakura asked curiously. Is this the same hideout when we tried to rescue I mean the one-tailed Jinchuriki? No. Right now, we are in Amigakure. The land of rain, Sakura thought. That's not too far from the hidden leaf. She wonders if Naruto and the others were safe back in Konoha and already made aware of the plan by now. They arrived in another smaller room, where Conan went to a nearby old drawer and pulled out a spare Akatsuki cloak and a small ring. Here is the organization ring you need to wear at all times. It is considered as the means of communication among us, as well as crucial during the extraction process, she explained. Sakura took the ring gingerly. The gem inside is slate blue. It had the symbol printed on it, which meant sky. It once belonged to Orochimaru, when he was an Akatsuki member, Conan said, guessing what's on her mind. Sakura nodded, although feeling quite disgusted by the fact that it was once worn by the person who's one of the reasons why Sasuke left Konoha and who killed the third Hokage. You have to wear that on your left little finger. The rings were crucial for the Akatsuki's sealing ritual, as they corresponded to specific fingers on the Gedo statue. Conan explained. Your forehead protector, you have to slash it too, to signify your alliance with Akatsuki, and severing your bonds with your village. Sakura remained an expressionless face, though struggling inside. Nevertheless, she took her kunai without a further ado, and slashed her leaf forehead protector to not arouse suspicions in front of Conan. Satisfied, Conan nodded and handed her the Akatsuki cloak. Come, let's hurry to the extraction process. I'll also brief you on some of the crucial rules and regulations within the organization along the way, but the main rule to be followed here is whatever happens, whether you die or not, the mission has to be completed. Akatsuki's secrets must never be revealed. She continued. Sakura gulped, then regained her posture. Okay. You are to follow the leader's rules without further questions and complaints. Right. And you must control your emotions at all times. There is no need for sentimental feelings here. Sakura paused for a moment, and then nodded firmly. I will. Sakura walked across the serene hall of the Akatsuki headquarters with caution, her tiredness already making her leg feel like jelly. The extraction process went on successfully, and it took them almost 1.5 days. Apparently, Zetsu mentioned that this has been the quickest extraction they did. He said that last time they extracted the two-tailed beast, it took them 3 days, with only food pills for sustenance. They were only 8 at that time, as Tobi had been the newest member before her after Sasori died. She bit her lip. It was not the physical tiredness that only made her legs weak, but the gnawing guilt eating inside her knowing that she just participated to kill the four-tailed Jinchuriki through the extraction process. She will not be able to forget seeing that face, with its hauntingly widened eye sockets and gaping mouth from which the tailed beast was extracted from and absorbed into the Gedo statue. How heartless can these members be, able to have done this repeatedly already without remorse? But achingly, she thought of the Edo Tensei she performed to just gain their trust, and that made her feel more than worse than she's feeling. No, this will not do. She has to act according to the plan. There's nothing she can do, those Jinchurikis were already captured. She just has to try and prevent the future ones, as a double agent for Konoha. She sighed. After the extraction, Pain told the members to rest for now in their respective rooms to recover, and they will all reconvene the next day for their next plans. She saw Itachi linger a bit, his eyes trailing to follow and observe Toby, who also did not go directly to his room but followed Pain and Conan. Odd, Sakura thought. Anyway, where is her room again? Conan told her that her room would be at the left side of the end of the hall. Was it? With no proper sleep for more than a day and only food pills for sustenance, she feels like her listening comprehension has somewhat diminished. She slid the door of the left side room, and found from a brief glance that the room is bare with only essentials, such as a bed, a closet, and bedside table. There's another door inside which seems to lead to a bathroom. The room was neat and minimal, and she was so exhausted that she could hardly wait to take a refreshing, hot bath. She headed straight to the bathroom. The bathroom was dimly lit, and she began taking off her clothes and things, placing them on the rack above the sink. She stepped inside the shower and turned the knob. The warm water flowed through her porcelain-like skin and enjoyed the refreshing feeling of it. The steam coming from the warm water surrounded the whole bathroom. She turned off the shower again so she can lather her jasmine-scented soap on every pore of her body and apply shampoo on her hair. When she was about to turn on the shower again to rinse the soap suds from her body, imagine her shock when the door of the bathroom suddenly opened. It revealed a man standing in the doorway. His onyx black eyes were widened in surprise, but his face remained stoic as ever. The man from her dreams, or rather, from her nightmares in Konoha Uchiha Itachi. Sakura blinked, unable to move from what had just happened. Itachi also blinked for a few moments, speechless. Then, he quickly darted his eyes off from her and proceeded to shut the bathroom door, before saying, "You entered the wrong room." Sakura almost fainted in the bathroom on the spot. "I want to see Sakura-chan. Let me out of here!" Naruto exclaimed, wringing his arms free from the clasps on his bed. He was currently in the hospital, and apparently, he had learned of Sakura's departure because of him. The news spread like a wildfire in Konoha, and Tsunade cursed who the big mouth was, although she couldn't do anything now that it was already done. "Be quiet, Naruto. You'll wake the other patients here," Tsunade said. "I want to save her from those bastards. Tsunade-bachan." Tsunade snapped at Naruto fiercely. "There is nothing you can do anymore, Naruto. If you go, then both of you and Sakura would be within the Akatsuki's clutches. Sakura's sacrifice would go to nothing. Is that what you want to happen?" "But Bachan, please," Naruto pleaded. "It's my fault in the first place why she had done it. I should be the one to save her." Tsunade shook her head. "Naruto, it was nobody's fault. She just did it for the best." Naruto bowed his head. Tears fell from his eyes. "I don't want to lose another friend. She's like a sister to me. I don't think I can take it anymore." Tsunade's glance softened. She hugged Naruto tenderly, like the she does when her younger brother was still alive. How Naruto reminded her of her younger brother, Tsunade thought as she stroked Naruto's spiky blonde hair gently. "All you have to do is wait, Naruto," Tsunade consoled. Naruto broke free of Tsunade's hug. "But you can't expect me to sit around here doing nothing." "Naruto," Tsunade said, "Sakura is also dear to me. I would not let anything happen to her." "But what will I do that can help her back?" Naruto asked in a small voice. Tsunade smiled. "You just wait here and perform the missions I give you. Meanwhile, just leave to us the mission in getting Sakura back." Naruto sniffed. "You promise?" "I promise. We would get Sakura from those fiends no matter what." Sakura and Conan sat on the long table in the dining room of Akatsuki's headquarters. They were having a meal together when the door opened. It revealed a feminine-looking blonde-haired man and an orange-masked man. They sat beside Sakura and began to eat. Deidara took the last muffin on the plate, as well as Toby. Deidara glared at Toby. "Let go of that muffin, Toby. I saw it first." "No!" Toby grabbed it first. "Give it to Toby, Deidara-senpai. Toby is a good boy." Deidara stood from his chair and tugged the muffin with his both hands. Although Toby seemed like childlike, still, he had a strong attribute. "No, you're not a good boy, Toby. Let go, Toby. There are other foods on the table. Just take those," he growled. Toby stood and followed the suit. He tugged harder, away from Deidara. "No, Deidara-senpai. This is Toby's favorite." Conan sighed, shaking her head fretfully. "Be used to it, Sakura. They are like that almost every day." Sakura smiled. Watching those two quarrel like kids, despite they've killed several ninjas, made her feel like she's in Konoha once again. They reminded her of Naruto. How she had missed him. She continued chewing on her food when the door opened once again. To Sakura's disgust, it was Kisame, and who else, Itachi. Kisame sat beside Conan and slouched on the chair, looking very tired. Itachi, on the other hand, grabbed a glass from the cupboard and filled it with water from the sink. He drank it with one gulp. Conan stared at Itachi and sighed. It was very inappropriate of you to do that, Itachi. I can understand what Sakura feels, Conan said as she was slicing a piece of steak with her fork and knife. Deidara, Toby, and Kisame stared at them innocently. Obviously, they were not aware what they were talking about. Why, Itachi? What happened? Kisame asked suspiciously. Yeah. Tell us, Deidara urged. Toby wants to know what happened. Toby is a good boy. Nah, shut up, Toby, Deidara said as he tried to shove Toby out of sight, but all in vain. Toby is persistent. They obviously had forgotten their fight about the muffin. Sakura then shot Itachi a dagger look. She could not forget that moment. She cursed him on her mind. Itachi, however, remained impassive. How Sakura hated that face. Conan snapped at them. No. This is not for you to know, you dunderheads. That's unfair, Kisame accused. Conan shook her head. Then she looked at Itachi once again. Care to explain, Itachi? I am not aware of her bathing in my room, Itachi replied, expressionless as ever. Deidara and Kisame gaped in shock, as well as Toby. Although you can't tell it behind his mask, it shows his actions. You saw her taking a bath? You saw her naked? Kisame intrigued, shock still visible in his shark features. Toby thinks it's a bad idea, Itachi-senpai, TSK. Toby is a good boy. Deidara piped in. Well, what does it look like? They all stared at him, as if he were crazy. Sakura shot him a murderous look. Can you repeat it again, Deidara? She asked him sweetly, her voice like a poisoned honey. Oh no, nothing. Forget it. Sakura sighed deeply, blushing in embarrassment. Itachi noticed this, and he smirked to himself. He was amused by the way she was embarrassed. Sakura noticed this amusement, and cursed Itachi more. That Uchiha. The nerve of him. How dare he makes fun of her situation. I thought it was the room Conan told me about, okay. I thought my room was the last one on the right side of the hall. It was just a plain mistake, Sakura said defensively, reddening more. Kisame chuckled. What a fine way of being acquainted, the two of you. Sakura snapped at Kisame angrily. Shut up, shark face. Kisame grimaced. You want me to shred your tongue off, Pinky? May it be your room or not, you should have locked the bathroom, Itachi stated. Yeah, use your common sense, yeah, Deidara said, rubbing his chin absent-mindedly. I didn't lock the bathroom because I didn't expect anyone barging in my room, okay? Sakura replied heatedly. Toby thinks peeking women in showers is a no-no. Toby is a good boy. Toby piped in. Sakura smiled at him. Conan nodded, finishing her meal. I guess it was both of the party's fault. Let's all be nice now, everybody. And one by one, they went out of the room, with Sakura dashing out as quickly as she could so that she could avoid the amusement on the stoic Uchiha's eyes. So, what about it, Itachi? Itachi looked up Kisame. They were lying in their separate futons in their room. He certainly knew what Kisame was talking about. Apparently, Kisame's still going on about the peeking in shower matter that was talked about a while ago. Seriously, he didn't want to talk about it anymore, although he was amused by the way the kunoichi blushed like a tomato in front of them. However, due to Kisame's intrigued face, he thinks it was the best to explain himself more that he didn't mean to see the kunoichi wearing nothing. Still, he pretended to be innocent. I beg your pardon? Itachi asked. Oh, don't play an innocent act, Itachi. You perfectly knew what I mean, Kisame grinned slyly. Sure, Itachi knew what Kisame means. But he was not sure if he wanted to divulge the details to Kisame. He remained silent. Oh, come on, Itachi. You don't need to hide it from me. Itachi sighed at Kisame's persistence. What do you wish to know? Kisame grinned maliciously. Isn't it obvious? Of course it's obvious. What? I'm surprised at you, Itachi. You're too slow today. Itachi shrugged. I don't know what you're talking about. Kisame sighed exasperatedly. I want to know what Pinky looks like, you know, when bathing. Itachi stared at him. Kisame was still grinning. Itachi could not believe how improper Kisame was behaving. To him, That kind of matters does not trigger any interest in him. Not that he's gay, of course not. He was 100% man. He just didn't think it was appropriate for an Uchiha like him to mull on things like that. Nothing, Itachi replied frankly. Kisame stared, his grin vanishing. He looked at Itachi as if he were joking, but no, Itachi never joked, let alone kid around. He was not Tobi nor Deidara, who used to play pranks around. What do you mean, nothing? Kisame asked incredulously. I told you, Kisame. I saw nothing. There was nothing. It was nothing, Itachi replied firmly. Kisame nodded, finally understanding that the conversation must be wrapped up. He cleared his throat jerkily. Oh, I see. Good night, Itachi. The next morning, Sakura woke up with a start. She had had that nightmare once again. Shaking her head, she stood up from her bed and started to get dressed. Today was her first ever meeting as an Akatsuki. Sakura shrugged. This was just like a typical morning in Konoha in which she usually does. It was a complete opposite on what she had thought. She thought that living as an Akatsuki would be totally frightening. As she went out of her room and closed the door, she heard the same sound of closing a door behind her. To her disgust and embarrassment, it was Itachi. She began to walk away to avoid the awkward situation when the cold, drawling voice of Uchiha Itachi suddenly spoke. I didn't see anything because of the steam, don't worry, he said as he walked away from her down the stairs, leaving Sakura open-mouthed. After a couple of minutes, Sakura regained her posture. She sighed in relief. Maybe the stoic Uchiha didn't seem as bad as she thinks. Tsunade wrapped her arms around her. She was currently in the balcony of her patient's hospital room, and it was a chilly morning that she regretted not having to bring a jacket to wrap herself up to ease the cold breeze surrounding her. Christmas season was approaching, and that must be the reason on the cold climate she's experiencing right now. She felt depressed all of a sudden, because she was not sure if she could retrieve Sakura from the Akatsuki before the Christmas season because of the hectic schedule piling up her, as well as that retrieving her needs a lot of planning and cooperation from the other ninjas. She can't risk her apprentice's life. There was a sudden knock on the door that interrupted her senses. Who is it? She called from the balcony. A familiar voice called out. It was I, Lady Tsunade. Come in, Shizen. Shizen came in the room. She closed the door carefully and slowly, almost afraid to wake the patient up. She had a large green coat on her hands. Here is your coat, Lady Tsunade. Tsunade flashed Shizen a wide, relieved smile. Thank you, Shizen. How do you know I need this? Shizen smiled back. When I went out of our house this morning, I felt very cold. I was afraid you forget to bring your own coat, and so I was right when I went to your house. You forgot it. You knew me too well, Shizen. Of course, Lady Tsunade. I knew it from the start because you seem busy lately. Tsunade smiled sadly. She went out of the balcony and sat on the chair beside her patient's bed. He checked his ECG machine. It was stable. Lady Tsunade? If I may ask something? Shizen asked. What is it? Isn't this the same man who was Sakura's last patient? I think he was, because I noticed that his face was covered with the same bandages. Yeah, he is. Shizen scratched her head. So why is it that you're the one taking care of him? Being the Hokage, why shouldn't you just assign any other medics to keep an eye on him? She queried, puzzled. You'll be able to know soon, Shizen, Tsunade smiled, meaningfully. Shizen stared at Tsunade. She didn't exactly knew what she was talking about. Recently, Tsunade seemed to be keeping a lot from her. Well, it doesn't matter, she was going to find it out anyway. Tsunade can't stand not telling her anything. Aside from Sakura, she was the one who keeps the Godame's secrets as well. It was then when she noticed the patient's hand move. She blinked her eye to see if she was wrong. But she's right. The patient finally woke up. Lady Tsunade! The patient! He finally awoke. Tsunade looked at her patient with alert. Quick, Shizen! Help me with him! Together, they helped the patient sit up. When the patient was finally at ease, sitting comfortably, Tsunade began to take off the patient's bandages on his face. I wonder, Lady Tsunade, what happened to his face? Why is it bandaged heavily? It was due to explosion. Luckily, his eyes weren't heavily damaged. And I was able to heal his face back to its original state, Tsunade replied. They continued to take off the bandages one by one, and when it was already taken off truly, Shizen gaped in immense shock. She pointed at the man sitting up on the bed. Why you? Hey, the man said to Tsunade. Tsunade smiled. Welcome back, Sasuke. Sakura tried her best not to wobble on her spot, while looking below her friends and comrades standing in front of the Akatsuki hideout. Pain and Konan motioned for Sakura and Itachi to go ahead first, as the former will need to check and tighten the surveillance in the village. Careful not to betray any ounce of unease from her face while Itachi walked beside her, they both appeared in the entryway, making their presence known. Naruto, Jiraiya-sama, Kakashi-sensei and Team Guy, Sakura thought upon seeing them. She wonders how many of them, with the exception of Jiraiya, know the truth of her joining the Akatsuki. Team Guy, obviously, was not yet in the plan. They seemed at a loss for words upon seeing Sakura. That cloak she's wearing, Niji said, shocked. Tenten was frozen beside him, unable to say anything. Kakashi, Guy said, looking at Sakura in disbelief. If that's what I think it is, then she doesn't look like a prisoner of Akatsuki at the moment. Sakura-chan! Naruto yelled, before Kakashi and Jiraiya could stop him, making Sakura feel uneasy. I don't understand. What's happening here? We came to rescue you. As Sakura-san, Lee stammered. Are you one of them now? Sakura saw Kakashi look at her with a shocked expression, and then he held his kunai higher, his one Sharingan eye blazing at her with caution. Sakura, he said, looking at Itachi. Are you forced to do this? Itachi, who was watching them, slightly raised his brow. They must have thought he casted a powerful genjutsu on Sakura to force her. Sakura made her face portray the coldest expression she could. Sensei, you should know better than that. Kakashi's eyes widened and froze. Jiraiya glanced at her with contempt. Good, Sakura thought. Jiraiya-sama and Kakashi looked convincing. I see, Jiraiya said. So, after being captured, you just decided to join them and be a traitor to your village? Naruto gritted his teeth. No! Sakura-chan won't do that. He interrupted, clenching his fists. Sakura-chan! What are you doing? What are you saying? Please stop this prank, it's not funny. A prank? Sakura answered softly. I'm afraid it's not, Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened, his knees dropped to the ground. I can't understand, he said weakly. What the hell happened after you were captured? Why you've changed just like that? He shouted. Sakura could feel she would start to waver any moment if she kept on looking at Naruto, so she closed her eyes briefly. It's not an overnight decision, if that's what you think. I decided on this a long time ago, she said. You mean you've been planning this? Kakashi asked disbelievingly. Since when? Ever since that fight with Sasori. Sakura replied, opening her eyes and looking at Kakashi. Akatsuki's goals, when I heard from Sasori, are something that reignited what I really desired. World peace? By world abomination? Jiraiya scoffed. Really, Sakura, I'd have thought you were smarter than that. Considering you're one of the most intelligent kunoichi of your age and being Tsunade's apprentice, I am very disappointed. Sakura turned to look at Jiraiya, wanting to send him silent signals, but with Itachi standing close beside her, it felt very risky. The allied nations are just currently too blind to comprehend the purpose and sense of that goal, it seems. No wonder, she said softly, that there are still never-ending wars amongst them. What nonsense are you saying? Naruto asked, stomping his foot in anger. You're betraying Konoha because of that? You're throwing away your life and your comrades to join Akatsuki? He said, gritting his teeth in anger. You're throwing away our friendship, just like that. You don't understand, Naruto. Sakura replied simply. I don't want any more people to suffer like me. Having their parents and families taken away from them like it's nothing, all because of these selfish and foolish wars only to suffice others' personal greed and gain. And you think Akatsuki's not doing this for their personal gain? Jiraiya accused. No. A voice suddenly rang out behind Sakura, so cold and authoritative it sent chills on her spine. Conan, along with a man with long orange hair tied up in a ponytail and wearing facial piercings, made their presence known, and both stood together with her and Itachi. The unfamiliar man is also wearing the same cloak they have, but the strangest thing Sakura noticed is that this man has the same eyes their leader has. Who is this man? This is not a shadow clone, the body is entirely different, she thought. Do they have another member she doesn't know about? But strangely, she is sure this is part of Pain's abilities, which she cannot explain. To Sakura's surprise, Jiraiya's face displayed the most shocked expression she had seen him with. He looked intently at the man who looks like Pain and Conan, with his mouth slightly open. Nagato? And Conan too, Jiraiya trailed, until he froze and widened his eyes in disbelief. So you both were running the Akatsuki, after all. You know them? Guy asked, puzzled. Jiraiya nodded, his eyes not leaving the two. They were my former students when I stayed in this village for some time after a mission, he explained. But the man with orange hair, while he looks different now from what I remembered, he still has those same eyes. I cannot be wrong, those are the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan? Kakashi questioned, confused. All those times I thought those eyes were only a legend. To see them in the flesh right now. The man with the Rinnegan looked at Jiraiya, his face devoid of any emotion. I didn't expect you were the one who instigated this infiltration in my village, Jiraiya-sensei. Nagato, what's the meaning of this? He continued to look at Jiraiya, before turning to the rest of Konoha shinobi. I am Pain. I am the leader of Akatsuki. Close-minded people such as you are, I expect you all won't be able to understand the goal of our organization. It is for the greater good, not for any of our personal gains. Nagato? Sakura's mind wondered. So this man is saying he is Pain as well, and his real name is Nagato? How is that possible? She wonders who Nagato is, stealing a glance at Konan's face. She looked expressionless too, but Sakura is assuming that Nagato might be some comrade of hers from a long time ago. Nevertheless, she felt uneasy. They don't have intel yet on what kind of powers Pain and Konan, and the rest of the members have. Her friends are not supposed to be displaying themselves here in the hideout so soon for a risky, dangerous mission. I don't know what happened to you, Nagato, Konan. Even you, Sakura. But to ally yourselves to evil like this will stop you, Jiraiya said. Sakura-chan, Naruto said, trembling. I don't give a damn on what you think, or what these Akatsuki are saying. I'll get you back even if I have to drag you myself. Enough of this, Pain said. We don't have all day for this nonsense. Today, the Kyuubi will be ours, Pain coldly said, before turning to Sakura. It's your chance to prove your true alliance, then. Go capture the Kyuubi yourself. Sakura nodded stiffly, ignoring her hammering heart in her chest. I might inform you that this is going to be troublesome. Not only the Toad Sannin is here, but Kakashi as well. Usually, a skilled Umbu or Jonin sticks with Naruto no matter what. Like last time when I was captured. Yamato was with him. Most likely, I assume Kakashi will stick with Naruto all throughout this ordeal. Pain considered briefly. I see, given this intel from you then, Itachi, go with her. Make sure that the copy ninja is separated from the Kyuubi. I'll deal with Jiraiya and Mighty Guy. I assume he can also be troublesome with that taijutsu of his. I'll deal with the rest then, Konan said promptly, looking at Mighty Guy's students Niji, Lee and Tenten with bored interest. Aside from that boy's Byakugan to consider, I don't think they can hold a candle against my skills. Don't underestimate them, Sakura answered, inwardly taking in her pride towards her Konoha friends. Their coordination with each other in a fight makes them unmatched in hand-to-hand combat. Well, we'll see about that, Pain said, stepping forward, and at once, he called out, Kuchios no Jutsu. Just then, two more Akatsuki cloaked figures with face piercings and a pair of Rinnegan appeared beside Pain. The one on his right is a man who looks similar to the first one, only its long hair was left untied and flapping against the wind. The other one, on Pain's left, is a burly and stocky-looking man. 3 pairs of Rinnegan? Kakashi said, surprised. Is that even possible, Jiraiya-sama? I haven't heard of it either, Jiraiya answered, gritting his teeth. I don't know what happened, or what's happening. But this is bad. The two newly arrived Pains then darted off to Jiraiya and Guy. Guy immediately connected his strong kick towards the long-haired Pain, immediately blinding him. Jiraiya's hair suddenly blasted off him, long enough to tackle the big Pain and trap him. The first Pain, again called out, Kuchios no Jutsu. A vicious and large 3-headed dog summoned with Rinnegan eyes appeared out of nowhere, immediately tackling Jiraiya, who in turn also summoned Gamaken, his other toad, to fight with the beast with Guy, unleashing smart taijutsu skills to tackle each of the summoned beasts from Pain. The other big Pain and the blinded Pain worked together to fight Jiraiya, and Sakura noticed that whenever Jiraiya unleashes a chakra-induced technique, such as the Fire Blast, it was easily absorbed by the burly Pain. In unison, Konan and Itachi darted off the others as they were instructed, with Sakura following the suit. Where is she? Tsunade turned to face Sasuke. Shizen left the room a few moments ago, after being calmed down by Tsunade and requesting her to stand guard by the door to make sure no one knows Sasuke is back in Konoha. Though confused but trusting Tsunade's instructions, Shizen casted a final, apprehensive look at Sasuke and turned to leave. I said, where is she? Sasuke asked, his dark eyes piercing at Tsunade. Who? She asked him, though knowing already who he is asking about. Sakura. Why? Sasuke stared at her, his expression unreadable. She was here when I was unconscious. I know she was. How did you know? Tsunade wondered. I felt it. I felt her hand on my forehead and chest when I regained consciousness for a bit. Then I think I fainted again afterwards, he replied. Tsunade looked at him, surprised. I'm impressed. I know it's her. I've felt that hand many times before when we were still genin. The same hands who cared for me and saved me from harm when I needed it, Sasuke explained. The same hands who used to hug me, he thought inwardly. Yes, you guessed correctly. She was the one who actually saved your life. She didn't know it was you, though. I was the one who healed your face initially and then bandaged it when she came around to replace me, thus giving her no idea it was you who she was healing in the first place, Tsunade said. So she's a medic now, he said slowly. A skilled medic. One of the best in the village, next to me and Shizen, if I might add. I want to see her. Tsunade's eyes narrowed into slits. Why? After leaving her 5 years ago? After ignoring her when she and Naruto came to take you back 2 years prior? Sasuke looked uneasy for a moment, but then regained his composure. I wanted to thank her for saving my life, again, he muttered, his eyes softening that made Tsunade's own eyes soften too. And to apologize as well. Tsunade stood from her seat and walked towards the windowsill. She let the cool breeze come in, and breathed a deep sigh. You're too late, she said. Sakura's gone. What? What do you mean she's gone? Sasuke asked with widened eyes as he threw his covers and tried to stand from his bed, but then stopped by Tsunade when he flinched a bit from not yet recovered injuries. Tell me, what happened? Tsunade sat again on her chair and eyed Sasuke. It happened just after she healed you. Naruto, Sakura, as well as Yamato and Sai, I suppose you still remember them. They were the same people who tried to retrieve you from Orochimaru's hideout 2 years ago. They all went on a mission to retrieve the four-tailed Jinchuriki that Akatsuki captured. She sighed again as she looked at Sasuke, trying to decipher his next reaction. The Akatsuki members who captured that four-tailed Jinchuriki were Kisame Hashigake, and your brother, Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke froze. Itachi? He mumbled unbelievingly as he clenched his fists on the blankets before him. What happened to Sakura and Naruto and the others then? He asked, his eyes closed and expression undecipherable. All safe, except for Sakura, who was taken by Akatsuki as a bait. What? Sasuke's expressionless face turned to a highly alarmed one again. How did that happen? What do they need her for? Tsunade closed her eyes briefly before opening them again and looking at Sasuke's face sternly. I'll tell you everything that happened, if you tell me your story. Especially as how you ended up here back in Konoha, much more outside my office balcony door, close to death and barely unrecognizable. To Tsunade's slight amazement, Sasuke's face went from a series of expressions she assumed so far the Uchiha is incapable of displaying. From an alarmed one, to agitated, and finally a pained face that crossed so evidently in his features. Itachi was the one who returned me back here, he said after a few moments. It was Tsunade's turn to be shocked. Did I hear you correctly? Itachi? Uchiha Itachi? Sasuke looked at Tsunade. Yes. My brother. I went to him and fought with him. Fought to the death, to be exact. So you lost? That's why he brought you back here. You may be his brother, but I am still at loss why he didn't finish you off. Sasuke closed his eyes and sighed. At first, I wanted to fight and kill him to exact my revenge. But a few days before that happened, an Akatsuki, who goes by the name of Uchiha Madara, told me the truth about Itachi. He told me Itachi only massacred our clan because of Konoha elders who hatched the plan. No one knows of this except those damned elders and the third Hokage who were all dead already. He bit his lip. Before continuing on, he said Itachi did all these to protect Konoha and prevent the coup d'etat being brewed by our clan back then. Itachi did those to prevent the war in Konoha. Tsunade backtracked, clutching her chest for her dear heart on these unexpected revelations. What? You mean to say, Itachi is working for the good of Konoha? She said breathlessly, before her face contorting with angry suspicion. And you expect me to believe that? When it was an Akatsuki who told you that, and what is this nonsense, Uchiha Madara? I hope that you know very well, since he's your own damn ancestor. He died already, ages ago, having been beaten by my grandfather. Of course I did not believe him at first. Sasuke snapped. That's why I still seeked for Itachi and demanded the truth. But during my fight with Itachi, it was apparent that he did not wish for me, or anyone else, to learn what that supposed Madara told me. Itachi was not aware this Madara told me about the truth. That doesn't still explain everything is believable, Tsunade scoffed. I had the same thought at first, but then, I realized that I never fully understood my brother, even when we were still a family. I guess hearing the truth, it must have clicked something inside my head. Including why I saw Itachi cry the night of the massacre, which I tried hard to push down and forget because it didn't make sense. Madara, or so he called himself, made me remember what I saw that night before I lost unconsciousness. Itachi cried? Tsunade said skeptically. Due to remorse? Yes. And I was told that he made Konoha elders promise that for him to cooperate on the plan and not say anything, I am not to be touched. Which brought him to also join Akatsuki. To monitor the organization and ensure Konoha is protected against their plans, delaying the capturing of Kyuubi and other tailed beasts, as much as possible, Sasuke further explained. Seeing Itachi's face after I told him my knowledge about this, I was eventually able to confirm his admission. Tsunade's mind was almost bursting with information overload, and she wished to bombard Sasuke with never-ending questions. But then, she managed to ask first, how are you able to get his admission? Sasuke hesitated for a bit. I asked him to get revenge and destroy Konoha. That Konoha is the reason why he was made like that and to avenge our clan. Tsunade stood up and glared menacingly at Sasuke. You don't dare, she hissed. Do you blame me, though? Sasuke asked viciously. Those damned Konoha elders ruined both of our lives. They made me hate my own brother. I also hated Itachi for choosing peace and protecting Konoha over our clan, over our family, but Konoha is the sole reason for this ousting and discriminating against our clan everything. Sasuke clenched the sheets against his fists tighter. But Itachi stopped me. That was the concrete admission of the truth I was seeking. He stopped me and told me to leave him alone while he executed his plans discreetly. He told me to just go back to Konoha and live my life here, while it's not too late for me. He said he'll fight me if it means to save Konoha from my hatred. But you did not wish to fight him anymore that time? Tsunade asked. Partly. One part of me doesn't want to fight because of the truth. The other part one wanted to fight him to make him see sense. That I am not going back to the village that ruined our lives in the first place, Sasuke answered. But Itachi is also determined to fight at the cost of his life. I can feel that he is holding back, that he doesn't want to kill me. And that snapped something inside me. It made me feel deranged for a while. I thought then, if Itachi would continue to protect Konoha and betray the memory of our clan, I would have no choice but to kill him. I will not let my own brother continue being a pawn to Konoha. How could you? Tsunade trailed, disbelievingly. Sasuke ignored her. I was determined to fight to the death too, but for different reasons compared to Itachi's. We exhausted our skills in the battle. I even used my final secret weapon, a technique I have been developing for years to prepare for that battle. I called it Kirin, a lightning release jutsu using natural lightning from thunderclouds rather than chakra. It requires massive heat to form storm clouds and generate lightning naturally, to which I also made use of my fire jutsu. And he escaped it? Tsunade gaped, somehow impressed by both of Uchiha's skills. Sasuke nodded. More like he deflected it. He has his last trump card too, it seems. Using his Mangekyo Sharingan, he summoned his Susanoo. I've heard about that, Tsunade said slowly. My father told me once that my grandfather, the first Hokage, mentioned encountering it during his legendary battles with Uchiha Madara. I didn't expect Itachi to survive my Kirin, and I've exhausted all my chakra. I was also hit by it in the process, which was why my face was partly burnt. My body is starting to give out, and my curse seal activated when Orochimaru, who I previously absorbed, emerged from it inside a serpent's mouth. Itachi used his Susanoo to pierce Orochimaru with something reminiscent of a sword. The blade struck the serpent, and I think it made Orochimaru disappear completely. Tsunade nodded in comprehension. The sword of Tatsuka, a legendary ethereal blade that seals anyone it strikes into an eternal, dreamlike illusionary world. I don't even believe it exists. I used to think back when we were teammates that Orochimaru was insane looking for it. Nevertheless, if I am not mistaken about that sword, then Orochimaru did not disappear, he was only sealed away by that sword. Sasuke slightly shrugged. That's it. I lost consciousness afterwards. I have regained awareness, only during brief points at a time though. The first one is when Itachi left me on the balcony, and I saw him glance at me with the same face when he left me the night of the massacre. I passed out. That's when I found you then, Tsunade said, rubbing her chin. And the other one? Yes. The other one I felt awake for a moment was when I have difficulty breathing and I can feel Sakura beside me, before passing out again. Tsunade considered him for a moment. She can't help feeling a bit of pity towards the man in front of her. This man, however distorted his belief and agenda is towards Konoha, surely suffered a lot too. Not just physically, but mentally. Imagine, putting all through that hateful revenge toward your kin, only to know that it has been displaced all along. So, what's your plan now? Do you still intend to destroy Konoha? Tsunade said, her nostrils flaring and her eyes narrowed into slits. Sasuke looked at the wall in front of him for a while, before looking at Tsunade. I haven't forgiven the Konoha elders for what they did. But they're dead now, so there's nothing I could do. For Konoha he trailed, I wanted to fully understand why my brother still continues to choose to protect this village, despite everything he has been put through. Protecting Konoha so much that he doesn't even care to be labeled as a criminal, and continues to do so, to this day. Sasuke closed his eyes again and sighed. I'm not asking you to believe me, and to avoid punishment after being back here. I will still accept my punishment for deflecting the village. But I am not guilty for wanting revenge on Konoha. But because of Itachi's desire to protect Konoha, I felt that I needed to understand my emotions and my feelings about all this. About how I should view the shinobi world. This world. This system. Perhaps I'll be able to see things I didn't see before. The same thing Itachi sees. You know that I can't prove yet Itachi's innocence based on your words a rogue until this point, and much more that you say from this supposed Uchiha Madara. While I trust that you're telling me the truth right now, I still can't change the view of the rest of the shinobi world against Itachi instantly. Especially as you say he's so intent on keeping discreet about it. Tsunade said. Tsunade sighed deeply, another worrying thought bothering her. If this is all true as Sasuke says, then it makes no sense to have sent Sakura to infiltrate Akatsuki in the first place, she realized. Itachi is already working as Konoha's spy. But she did not have any way to know, not until Sasuke told her this very moment. Konoha's elders, who were supposed to know of Itachi's allegiance, died a few years ago. I told you the truth, and everything you need to know, Sasuke reminded Tsunade suddenly, interrupting her thoughts. Now tell me why Akatsuki, my brother of all people, captured Sakura? Tsunade pinched the bridge of her nose. I didn't expect this. If I had known, I would never have agreed to Sakura's plan. Sasuke's face revealed his honest confusion. What do you mean? What plan? While Sakura was indeed captured to be used as bait against Naruto by the Akatsuki, it was all part of Sakura's plan from the start, Tsunade replied, and explaining to Sasuke everything the same things she discussed when she told Naruto and the team about the truth of Sakura's plan the day she was captured. Sasuke went speechless. I can't believe it's Sakura going to that far just to protect this village. His voice shook with anger and disbelief. Why are all these people willing to go to such lengths? You may not be able to understand. I don't know when you'll be, given all that trauma you experienced. But don't forget that Itachi, if what you said was all true, he himself has also experienced the trauma from all this, and yet Itachi is still willing to protect Konoha, his birthright. His home. The same goes for Sakura, Tsunade said. Sasuke's eyes softened a little. Her parents I didn't know. Tsunade closed her eyes sympathetically. It happened after that failed retrieval mission she and Naruto took to attempt to take you back 2 years ago. Sasuke's eyes widened and stilled, before biting his lip. I guess it's my fault. Had she not been gone from Konoha at that time, she might have been able to protect her parents. Tsunade eyed him carefully. No one is at fault. Circumstances happen. Sakura did not blame anyone, other than herself, which is why she strived harder to become stronger. However, she did suffer depression during that time. Well, who wouldn't? First, she had to accept the fact that you left the village, and tried to take you back. And then her parents were gone. Sasuke clenched his fists, and gritted his teeth again. Sakura, how pure at heart she is, as she always has been. She did not take revenge for what happened to her parents, but instead strived harder to become strong and protect the few remaining people in the village she cherished. Sakura, who was always bright and available to comfort him when they were genin. The first one in his aid and never left him. He didn't think Sakura suffered this much after his absence. He had always thought that Sakura was at peace living in Konoha, away from traumas and sadness he experienced. How very wrong he was. Like him, she had suffered greatly. He even treated her indifferently when they last met each other. To make matters worse, he was even indirectly the cause of her parents' deaths. Now she's an orphan like him. Sasuke can no longer stop as sudden tears pour out from his eyes for all the unfairness of the situation. Anguish since the accumulated despair from learning the truth about Itachi, and then now, learning how Sakura had suffered because of him. How she's not in Konoha anymore, and her life in danger. Tsunade looked at Sasuke empathetically. He is so broken from the inside, she thought. She, however, did not expect Sasuke to be affected so much with what happened in Sakura's past. Must have been the guilt, she surmised. She looked away for a while and turned to leave, to give him privacy. You'll rest here for the meantime for a few days until you fully recover and while I think about your punishment for defecting from the village. I will not tell anyone yet that you are here, as well as what you told me about Itachi. If what you said is true, I don't think he would have wanted his role to be leaked yet. I will assign Shizen to monitor you by herself," she said. "I have lots to do. I have to think on how can I communicate with Sakura and tell her she doesn't need to do the plan anymore." Just then, Tsunade heard a quick, silent sniff as Sasuke called, "Wait." She turned just in time to see Sasuke wiping his eyes with his forearm hastily. Then, Sasuke looked at her with eyes activating to his signature red orbs. To Tsunade's surprise, a strange flower-like pattern on his Sharingan she hadn't seen before appeared in his eyes. "Is that the—" Sasuke stared at his palms briefly. "Must be the Manjikyu Sharingan. My eyes feel a bit different from what they used to. I wonder if that intense despair was the reason it activated?" Tsunade wondered. Interrupting her musings, Sasuke turned again to her. "I'm going to get Sakura back," he said, in a determined voice that even surprised Tsunade. Tsunade considered him carefully. "And how do you intend to do that?" "I am going to join the Akatsuki." "I am going to join the Akatsuki." These words rang on Tsunade a couple of times then, before regaining her composure. She cleared her throat, before shifting back her attention to the Uchiha. "But how can you fool the Akatsuki into hiring you? We all knew that Akatsuki cannot be fooled by simple means," Tsunade asked. "It took a lot of careful planning with Sakura's. I think they must lose a member first. Back then when that so-called Madara told me the truth, he also asked me to join Akatsuki, but that was back then when Sakura's still here in Konoha." Tsunade finally nodded in agreement. "Once they have lost a member, they will be forced to hire a new one, right? Akatsuki members are skilled, but given my ability, I can take down at least one," Sasuke explained. "And that would put me back into the picture." Tsunade fell silent. Then, she remembered something. "But," she said suddenly, "you said your brother Itachi did not want you to join the Akatsuki? That's why he brought you back here." "As far as I know, my brother is not the Akatsuki leader, so the matter of hiring a new member was not his concern," he replied flatly. "All the better, I can feign to be still intent on destroying Konoha to try and fool Itachi. I can't risk him knowing my true agenda, not when that so-called Madara is there," Sasuke answered, before continuing on, "and once the time is right, I'll execute my plans and escape with Sakura." "And how do I ensure you're not using Sakura and betraying us again? And consequently decide to become a permanent Akatsuki?" Tsunade asked suspiciously. "Believe what you must, but you cannot stop me, even if you're the Hokage," he stated firmly, looking directly at Tsunade. "I told you I will need time to understand the shinobi world and how I will view it. More importantly," he added, "rescuing Sakura from the dangers of Akatsuki, that's my priority at the moment." Tsunade's shadow of a smile etched her features and patted Sasuke's shoulders. "That's a relief, then," she said. "Not that I trust you 100%, but let's say it's now at 70% at most." Sasuke slightly made an annoyed face at her, but said nothing. At that moment, an urgent knock on the door was heard. "Tsunade-sama? An urgent message, if I can come in, please." Tsunade and Sasuke looked at each other, exchanging glances and feeling Shizen's panic and urgency. "What is it, Shizen?" Tsunade said, as the door opened after hearing Tsunade's cue. Shizen was clutching a note on her chest. "I have good news and bad news," Shizen said weakly. "Tell me the good news first," Tsunade breathed. "Jiraiya-sama and the team came back after the Sakura retrieval mission. All of them are alive, and it seems Sakura had already joined Akatsuki successfully. She is very much alive, as per Team Guy's confirmation. They seem to be convinced that Sakura really has now turned into a traitor," Shizen said, to Tsunade and Sasuke's relief. "Jiraiya-sama is badly injured though. He lost his left arm." "Goodness, I'll get to him quickly and try to heal him," Tsunade said in alarm, only to be stopped by Shizen's voice again for a brief moment. "The bad news, Tsunade-sama," Shizen said, her lip trembling a bit. Tsunade's breath hitched. "Yes, the bad news. What is it?" she asked hoarsely, waiting for the worst. Sasuke's breath also stilled in his chest. "The team Asuma also sent a note from their other mission. It seems Asuma died and was killed when they encountered two of Akatsuki members." Sakura woke up with a start, as she had the same nightmare for 3 nights. She dreamt that Naruto was captured by the Akatsuki, and she watched coldly as the tailed beast was extracted to him, until Naruto's body fell with a loud thud against the cold, rocky ground. She sighed. It has been 2 days since their encounter with her friends in the Akatsuki hideout. It has been a close shave, Naruto was almost captured by Pain when he tried to go and engage Sakura into a fight, until the timely intervention of Jiraiya. Jiraiya was able to take down the three Pains, but Konoha's side was still almost losing. Konan had been head-to-head on three ninjas at once, Niji, Lee and Tenten, and still, they are just equally matched to her. Itachi even summoned his Susanoo, as he went against both Kakashi and Guy, who helped Kakashi against Itachi when Jiraiya defeated the three Pains, as well as when Naruto tried to fight with Sakura. It was then that the true Pain emerged along with two other new Pains. Jiraiya had been so distracted upon seeing one of the Pains, the Pain which Sakura initially encountered when she was captured. She heard Jiraiya mutter disbelievingly, "Yahiko? It is you, after all," to the man, losing his left arm in the process during the battle and fighting to release Naruto from Pain's hold. No one died that day, and she was thankful. Though she felt immensely bad about what happened to Jiraiya's lost arm, it could have been much worse. Pain's abilities are something that still brought her chills. It was almost godlike. She hasn't seen anything like it before. How can he have all those abilities at once? However, it made her determined to uncover this. She wants to know the true depth of Pain's abilities, among many other members whose abilities are yet to be known. Pain has to have a weakness, otherwise Konoha won't stand a chance. Akatsuki is already formidable enough, and Pain having such techniques that remain a mystery should not be left alone. All the more she has to get her work done in Akatsuki as soon as possible. She suddenly remembered Naruto's words to her during the brief moment they were able to engage in a fight. Flashback. While everyone aside from the two of them are focused on each of their battles, Naruto told her quietly, "Sakura-chan, I won't let you risk your life like this. No one is to be a sacrifice," he said as he summoned his shadow clones. "Naruto," she whispered urgently, realizing that Naruto knows the plan. She tried to hit him with her lethal punch, in which he evaded narrowly. "Listen to me, you have to trust me. I won't die easily, mark my words." "There must be another way, Sakura-chan, but not this," he hissed. "There's no other way, this is one of the best chances we've got. We can't let others' deaths be in vain. Your parents. My parents. The third Hokage. Elder Chiyo. The captured Jinchurikis, do you really want to let their deaths go into waste?" Sakura hissed more urgently. Naruto's eyes widened and were replaced by a pained expression. "Oh, of course not." "But," he stammered. "First Sasuke's gone, and now you," he said weakly. Sakura's chest felt a pang of guilt. However, she has no time to mull over that guilt, as she saw the original Pain emerge from nowhere and turn to Naruto's direction, seemingly intent to capture him. In Jiraiya's immense shock, it seemed to her that Jiraiya recognizes Pain's true face. She then concentrated chakra on her foot, and tried to fake as much as possible and hit Naruto's spot. Fortunately, Naruto's improved reflexes narrowly avoided her deadly hit, and was able to get away from the now big, shattered crater on the ground. Pain then took this opportunity from a distracted Naruto, and said, "Bansho Tenin." Naruto was suddenly pulled towards Pain against his will, with Pain's holding on Naruto's throat. "This is bad," Jiraiya, in his sage form, visibly panicked and darted off immediately to Naruto. "Pain, who exactly are you?" he shouted before sending a punch to Pain, only for Pain to catch his punch on his other hand. Jiraiya then took the opportunity to fly a quick kick on Pain's middle, however, was deflected again by Pain through another jutsu of his that seemed to push Jiraiya away from him. It seems a gravitational reverse force from earlier, where Jiraiya hit the wall hard. He tried to get up from the rubble, only to be subdued by the one of the last Pains, a tall, bald cyborg-looking one this time, and with a thick neck. He fired a projectile from his forearm, effectively blasting off Jiraiya's left arm when Jiraiya tried to narrowly evade the sudden attack and disappeared into the water beneath them. To Pain's slight surprise, Naruto used Pain's distraction from Jiraiya and he aimed an unexpected kick on Pain's chest. Naruto, catching his breath, was able to pry out from Pain's hold. Before Pain uses his gravitational pull again to Naruto, Jiraiya's two married frog summons, Fukasaku and Shima, who helped him battle the three earlier Pains, unleashed their long tongues quickly, getting hold of Naruto's and Kakashi's foot and dragging them against the water-puddled ground and hiding them away from Pain's sight. Pain, realizing what is happening, as the same pair of tongues dragged Niji and Tenten away, Pain immediately tried sending a black metal rod to impale Lee, but before it manages to hit Lee, Guy used his strong fist to hit the black rod, cleanly splitting it to two. The same pair of long tongues also quickly did the same to Guy's and Lee's foot, dragging them away and completely disappearing. Itachi's Susanoo slowly ebbed away, and when his feet touched the ground, he spoke. "I don't sense their chakra anymore. They must have escaped using the same method to go here in the village without being immediately detected," Konan said. Pain nodded. "As expected of our former sensei, and one of the legendary Sanins," he said. No matter, it will only be a matter of time before we get the QB. End of flashback. Sakura then looked at the half of the metal black rod she took from her pocket. Fortunately, Pain, Conan and Itachi did not notice her lagging a bit behind when they returned to their hideout. She secretly took the other half of the metal black rod Guy had managed to destroy. She has to find a way to send this to Konoha, she thought. She suspects that this rod is somehow connected to how Pain's ability works. Since all the Pains she saw that day are technically using the same thing. Konoha can run assessment tests on this metal rod, and if Sakura is indeed correct in her suspicions, this rod serves like a transmitter for all those Pains she saw. But her hypotheses need to be proven. She also has to check and uncover the other Pain's abilities. There are yet 2 other Pains who she hasn't seen the skills yet. One summons animals, one absorbs jutsu and chakra, and the one Pain who she knows as the face of the leader of Akatsuki, has gravitational-based jutsu. First things first, she has to make Akatsuki fully trust her, she thought, getting out of bed and starting to prepare going out. Now Konoha will surely have the news that she is an official traitor. She is convinced that Naruto knows the plan, and she suspects Kakashi is privy to this intel either. She thinks Teen Guy might not have known about it. Nevertheless, her chest ached as she imagined how they would disclose the news to her other friends. She tried hard not to imagine Ino's face, upon knowing how she, Sakura, had turned to be their enemy and a village traitor. She sighed again as she got out of her room and convinced herself to get used to the life of being an Akatsuki. She went straight to the meeting headquarters, and noticed only a few of the members were there. Pain, Conan, Zetsu, Tobi, Kakuzu and Haiden are nowhere to be seen. As she strode towards her seat beside Deidara, her glance landed briefly to Itachi on the opposite side of the room. He seemed to be in deep thought, and his head was bowed. Kisame was also sitting beside Itachi, looking bored and swinging his samahata around. "Where are the others?" Sakura asked. "They must be coming, HN. I saw Haiden and Kakuzu both came back from their mission, and went straight to leader to report, HN. Zetsu is always not here. I rarely see him, he just comes and goes. He's a useful spy because he can blend well in the environment, HN. I see, Sakura said. What about Tobi? I dunno, maybe he just overslept or something, HN, Deidara said as he looked at the OE in his hand and smirked. Sakura looked away from his OE, feeling nauseated with the sight of it. Its tongue seemed to be drooling on the side. She can't help feeling disgusted by the small mouth on Deidara's hands. However, she must get used to the fact that not all Akatsuki members were normal. Aside from Deidara, who had this special attribute, there was also Zetsu, who looked like a Venus flytrap, and of course, Kisame, who she thinks is half fish. Good for him, because when I was new here, I couldn't sleep that well, HN, Deidara continued. Why is that? Sakura asked, surprised. I was initially forced to join here. Sakura gaped at him. What? But how come you're here now? She asked, puzzled. Deidara sighed heavily. It was a long time ago, HN, he began. Itachi, Sasori and Kisame recruited me. They persuaded me to join the organization because of my special abilities, HN. At first, I refused, and struck a deal. If I lose the fight, I will join. But I lost against Itachi's genjutsu, HN. Sakura looked at Deidara closely. She didn't expect him to be opening up to her like this, when it was only a matter of time they'd been introduced. Somehow, she felt as if she's at ease with him, just like when Naruto's around. It seems she and Deidara are on the same boat, as she also lost against Itachi's genjutsu. She turned away and sighed. Suddenly, in her peripheral vision, she thought she caught Itachi staring at her. When she turned to look at him further, however, he turned to bow his head again, back to its original position. Seems like Pinky and Deidara are becoming close, don't you think? Kisame blurted out, with only Itachi hearing him. Just then, the door opened. Finally, Pain, Tobi and Conan arrived, alongside Haiden and Kakuzu. Pain immediately spoke without ado. My reason for gathering you in here is to announce that there will be a changing of partners among the members, as Sakura recently joined us. Changing partners? Kisame asked skeptically. Yes, Pain replied. I have made a new list here, and I based the partnership on the abilities of each member that fully benefits both partners when in mission. Hell yeah, I've been looking forward to dropping this bum for years, HN, Deidara said, pointing to Tobi. Oh, Tobi will miss Deidara-senpai. Tobi is a good boy, Tobi said, suddenly clinging on Deidara's arm like a lovesick girl. Pain stared at the two of them. As a matter of fact, the two of you will remain to be partners, Deidara. Yay! Cheers for Tobi. Tobi cheered. What? No way. Deidara cried incredulously. I want a new partner, HN. Can Sakura be my partner? He asked, unabashed. Why? Pain asked irritably. Maybe Deidara-senpai has a crush on Sakura-chan, Toby gleefully said. Deidara made a lunge for Toby. Shut up, he growled, reddening. Haiden chuckled. Heh, what a fool. Eh? Deidara-senpai is blushing. I said, shut up, Toby. Sakura didn't know whether to smile or not. She just flashed an awkward smile. Kisame chuckled. Itachi, on the other hand, remained expressionless. Konan and Kakuzu did not say anything, and Pain just looked at Deidara and Toby with an annoyed expression. There is no need for such emotions, Pain stated coldly. Deidara muttered something I know, in a vexing way, before shooting Toby an irritated look and slumped back on his seat, avoiding Sakura's gaze. Pain cleared his throat once again. Again, here is my lineup of new partners, he continued. Konan and I will remain to be partners, as well as Deidara and Toby. Toby shot his fist up in the air. Deidara let out a defeated sigh. Kisame's new partner would be Zetsu, Pain said. Sakura gaped at Pain, unbelieving. That means she and Itachi would become partners. What? Itachi and Sakura? Why? Deidara ranted, breaking the silence. Kisame chuckled. Why, Deidara? Jealous? Deidara blushed into a deep tomato again. What? No, I was just curious, Seichen, he growled. Enough, Deidara, Pain said. Sakura heaved a deep sigh. But leader, I can't partner with him. Itachi, seemingly uninterested with all that happened, suddenly stared directly at her upon hearing her words. She suddenly felt small. Why? Pain asked. Sakura didn't answer. Is it because of the bathroom incident? Itachi inquired quietly. Sakura looked up at him. Then she looked away, reddening instantly. What's happening to her? It seems that she cannot look Itachi directly in the eyes. It's because he looks so much like Sasuke, inner Sakura popped up suddenly, obviously drooling on the spot. The same hot body. Shut up, she murmured to herself. Why is inner Sakura appearing now after all those years? She thought she had disappeared for good, after her parents died. Excuse me? Pain asked. Oh, nothing. Sakura replied, embarrassed. Pain remained an impassive face. Sakura, you knew what we had agreed on when you joined this organization, remember? That there would be no complaints. Yeah, I remember, Sakura replied, biting the inside of her cheeks to prevent herself snapping. That means you're finally agreeing to partner with Itachi. She swallowed heavily, as if swallowing a huge bomb. Yeah, I guess so. Well, that's it. There would be no more to discuss. The meeting is adjourned, Pain said. All of the members began to leave. Itachi and Sakura, Pain said suddenly. Stay behind. Itachi and Sakura remained seated, and looked at Pain with attention. I will tell you about your first ever mission as partners, Pain began. What is it? Itachi asked. The two of you will be going to Iwagakure, located in the land of Earth. The third Tsuchikage is hiring our services for a covert assassination of a shinobi force inside their village. Apparently, this shinobi force is brewing a potential coup d'etat to overthrow the current Kage, and that this shinobi force is allied and working with Iwagakure's rival nation, Kumogakure, Pain explained. Usually you send Deidara for the Tsuchikage requests, Itachi replied. Is there a reason why he is not being sent for this one? Deidara and Toby will be tasked to hunt and capture the three-tailed beast. The Three-Tails is believed to be roaming freely now somewhere, as we received news that its host suddenly died of unknown reasons. Pain answered. When will be our departure? Sakura asked. You can leave after we're finished talking. While the land of Earth is technically one of our neighboring countries, getting to the hidden village of Stone can be quite longer than necessary. The rebel group needs to be subdued tomorrow before nightfall, at least. Pain answered smoothly. Sakura cringed. The fact that only Itachi would serve as her companion in a mission sent uncomfortable shivers around her. Usually, in Konoha, she usually goes on teams. She has not yet experienced being in a two-man cell. Okay, she said. Pain stared at the two of them, his Rinnegan eyes boring at them. I see there are no more problems. You may go. Itachi and Sakura departed in silence from their hideout. They'd only talked a couple of times so far, but Sakura doesn't know if she could consider that talking at all. The first was when she asked which route they'd take fastest going to the land of Earth, to which Itachi just pointed the direction lazily. The other time during the afternoon when they had stopped a bit at the border of land of Earth, to rest for a bit, and go to a nearby tea house and had something to eat before continuing their journey to the hidden village of stones. He ordered dango and tea, while Sakura ordered anmitsu. She noticed Itachi finish his first dango rather quickly, and proceeded to order another one. She then asked him, "Do you like sweets?" Itachi looked at her for a moment, before answering yes. She suddenly remembered Sasuke. While they look so much alike, Sasuke is so different from his brother in this aspect, as Sasuke hated sweets. When Itachi did not say anything else after that response, Sakura proceeded to eat her anmitsu quietly until they left and paid for their meals. When Sakura and Itachi reached Iwagakure, it was already dark. She turned to Itachi to ask the question that has been bugging her since the pain gave them their mission. "Do the Tsuchikids usually hire Akatsuki for these missions? I heard you mention earlier that Deidara was usually assigned for Tsuchikids requests," Sakura asked Itachi. Itachi looked at her briefly. "Why ask?" "Because the land of Earth is typically considered one of the Great Five Nations. I am a bit surprised why he is resorting to hiring Akatsuki given Akatsuki's reputation among the nations," Sakura replied. "I even saw the Tsuchikage once visiting Konoha when I was training for Chunin, so I just did not expect that he's into hiring Akatsuki. Akatsuki provides cheaper services than most of the shinobi nations. We are hired to fight proxy wars, handle assassinations, and sabotage rival nations on their behalf without risking their own military forces. Sounds a win-win for both sides then, I assume." Itachi responded again with his usual monosyllabic reply. Sakura let out an impatient huff. Was this man in front of her only capable of short responses? If she's lucky, she'd get 2 strings of connected words, or more, and that is if he's in the mood for explaining like a while ago. Is she going to endure this kind of lively conversations with him for a long time? She did not want to imagine it. She wonders how Kisame had managed to team up with him for such a long period of time. She rolled her eyes at the thought. Again, she remembered her former teammate, Sasuke, who also usually gave out the same monosyllabic responses. There's no mistaking them as brothers, Sakura mused darkly. Just like Sasuke, she mumbled absent-mindedly. Suddenly, as she turned to walk again, she bumped into something. Then, she realized that something was Uchiha Itachi's back. It turned out Itachi had not moved an inch when he was supposed to be walking ahead of her. Because of the unexpected hard collision, she lost her balance and almost fell back. Thankfully, Itachi, with his quick reflexes, immediately grasped her wrist, while his other arm supported her petite waist. When she opened her eyes, she noticed that their faces were only a few inches apart, and she could almost feel his masculine breath across her parted lips. She instantly reddened from the close contact and focused her gaze on his crimson eyes instead. They were gazing intently at her emerald orbs, and she couldn't help feeling drawn to them. She gulped. "What is it that you have just said?" Itachi asked quietly. Sakura blinked. What? Wait, let go of me," she stammered as she jerked from his grip. However, his grasp tightened further and just held her closer, ignoring her. "Am I that much alike to Sasuke?" he queried. She stared at him unblinkingly, nonplussed. "So that was the reason?" "Well, I suppose so. Does it matter?" she answered. Itachi continued to stare at her. "Do you still pine for my brother?" Huh? Sakura replied clumsily, shocked at Itachi's sudden, random question. "What are you talking about?" was all she managed to say. Itachi dropped her wrist and turned his back to her. Sakura, on the other hand, massaged her wrist from his hard grip, when Itachi spoke again. "I do not wish to be compared with him again. We are very much different from each other." And with that, he resumed his walk, leaving Sakura in complete puzzlement. What was all that about? Sakura thought confusedly, as she followed Itachi's trail. Sakura cursed. Her chakra level has dropped drastically low. She has used her chakra blade technique for more times necessary during the fight against the IWA rebels, and more than twice she used her cherry blossom impact technique that created a long, running crater that injured the rebels attacking her and Itachi. She didn't expect that there would be so many of them. Nevertheless, when the last IWA shinobi had dropped limply after an agonizing scream from looking at Itachi's eyes, she finally sighed from relief and exhaustion. Itachi then used his black fire technique to efficiently dispose and burn all bodies. Sakura winced. She still just couldn't get used to how Akatsuki can kill people, even if they're rebels, like it's some normal, boring routine. Nevertheless, she noticed that Itachi seems to not have particularly large reserves of chakra. She always knew Sharingan takes so much chakra from longer usage, much more if it's the higher level of Sharingan. To her surprise, she saw Itachi clutch his eye momentarily and stumble slightly. What happened? Sakura asked, slightly concerned for her teammate. Itachi removed his hand from his eye and looked at Sakura through his blurring vision. It's nothing. Let's hurry and meet the Tsuchikage in the remote meeting point to collect the payment. But your eye, it's bleeding. I said I'm fine. It's none of your concern, Itachi snapped coldly and proceeded to walk away from her. Sakura glared at Itachi, her patience thinning. I am a medic, in case you've forgotten. It is my job to make sure my teammate is well and not injured. And I don't want you slowing us down further, she said as she then grasped Itachi's arm and forced him to sit on the ground. As if, Itachi scoffed, but he let Sakura finally do what she wanted. He's a little amused that someone so petite and slim can hold so much strength within her. Sakura crept a little closer to Itachi, until her face is on level with him, looking directly at his eyes. When she felt Itachi's cool breath on her face, she slightly moved a little back, suddenly realizing that she must have crept too close than necessary. She cleared her throat and went back to her medic mode. Wow, those long eyelashes are simply stunning, Sakura can't help observing herself. Those eyelashes should be illegal, at least for men. Women would kill for those. Has this always happened before? Or when you're just using your eyes? She asked. Both, Itachi replied. Sakura sighed exasperatedly. Really, Itachi-san, she said, as she cringed a little for the fact that it was the first time she addressed Itachi by his first name ever since joining Akatsuki. I'm hoping you can elaborate instead of these one-word responses. Itachi felt amused, inwardly. It seems the pinkette gets annoyed and embarrassed a bit easily. Her evident, open-book expressions somewhat fascinate him, and he somehow feels satisfied that he invokes these series of comical facial expressions from her. This happens occasionally when I use my Manjikyu Sharingan more than necessary, he answered. Sakura pursed her lips. I don't have a Bikugan to further see what lies beyond your eyes. I need some hospital equipment such as an X-ray to be able to see how your optic nerves specifically look at the moment, she said. But I'm guessing that you'd have lapses of blurred vision when this happens? Itachi cannot help being impressed with her quick, accurate diagnosis, but remained impassive. How'd you know? I can only assume, but I can at least see for now your conjunctival vessels, she explained, and seeing Itachi's confused look, she added, those are the tiny red blood vessels on the surface of the white part of your eye. They look visibly dilated and look too red. Keep overusing your Sharingan, and the hemorrhage will eventually get worse. Sooner or later, the blurriness will develop to blindness. Sakura continued, haven't you ever consulted medical attention for this before? No, Itachi replied swiftly. He can't possibly let anyone know that his eyes are nearing blindness. He already assumed it was before the medic even came. He alone should know that handicap. He assumes Madara knows already, but that can't be helped. The latter is also a Sharingan wielder, what did he expect? But this Kunoichi was able to know in just a manual visual inspection. What a skilled medic, he thought. She truly is the 5th Hokage's apprentice. Why? I don't suppose there are a lot of skilled medics who can properly diagnose our eyes. Our eyes are special, so I don't just trust anyone to check it, he said. Further, as a member of a criminal organization, our choices are also very limited, as we cannot just prance around the best hospitals around the country and have us checked. So you suddenly trust me? Sakura asked, slightly curious. You're the 5th Hokage's disciple after all, Itachi said simply. Sakura didn't know what to say. While she may not have the skills to heal blindnesses yet, she assumed that her Shursho, Tsunade-sama, will be able to. But who would heal a criminal like him? Even if she has the capability, she doubted if she wanted to do it out of her free will. After all, this man was the reason why Sasuke left Konoha. Had Sasuke not left Konoha, she would not have gone to try and retrieve him back, and then maybe her parents would still be alive. She internally shook her head. Get a grip, Sakura, she thought. As much evil as Itachi is, he is not connected with your parents' deaths. It's an unfortunate fact that her parents have simply been in the wrong place, at the wrong time. Sakura sighed. She is still obligated to care for her teammate, nevertheless. It is apparent that she can at least temporarily diminish the pain from Itachi's eyes. She's a medic, after all. And she can't afford him slowing her down in their missions. What I can do right now is to at least ease the pain you're feeling in your eyes, she said, positioning herself again to level her face against Itachi. Instead of standard medical ninjutsu, I will use my chakra to heal the blurriness in your eyes, though this is only temporary. The more and often you use your advanced Sharingan, then it will definitely still accelerate the worst effects. I am still not saying I fully trust you, Itachi said, gripping her wrist as she tried to place her hand on his shoulder blade to hold him firmly. I told you, Sakura replied, rolling her eyes. I'm doing this so you'll not slow us down on missions. We are partners now, unfortunately. As if, Itachi repeated again, but the pressure of his grip on her wrist lessened. Taking this cue as his yes, she began infusing her carefully controlled chakra on her palms and hovered it on Itachi's eyes. Itachi immediately felt relief enveloping his eyes. While the green light emanating from her palms are providing a cool, sweeping effect on his damaged eyes, for some reason Itachi feels warm, comforting feeling within himself as well. It took longer than Itachi expected. When Sakura took a deep breath, Itachi realized something. He gripped Sakura's wrist again, but Sakura did not budge and continued healing him. Stop. You're already almost out of chakra. It's okay, Sakura said. I can manage, besides our mission is already finished, but Sakura was not able to finish her sentence as staggered and fell limply forward. To Itachi's shock, a long blade impaled her left shoulder, narrowly missing her heart. Itachi looked behind Sakura and realized that there was one remaining IWA rebel who managed to escape from his Amaterasu earlier. His right leg was slightly burnt, but the rest of his body was not affected. He appeared to have crawled not too far away from them behind the bushes, masking his chakra. He was able to throw his blade in their direction, successfully hitting Sakura. Itachi clenched his jaws, seeing red. Swiftly, but carefully, he removed the blade from Sakura's shoulders. He then went to the IWA rebel's spot in a swift second and grasped the latter's throat. The rebel chuckled. Kill me then, he rasped. At least I got to kill one of you. Itachi's eyes narrowed, his eyes blazing in Sharingan. She won't die, he said softly. But you will, while he snapped the man's neck savagely with his hands. When the man was no longer breathing, he returned to Sakura's form. Itachi tried to inspect her wound. It did not hit her vital spots, but she's losing blood. She is unable to heal herself anymore, having exhausted her chakra from healing his eyes earlier. What a fool, Itachi said, but then he picked up Sakura in bridal style, whereas she groaned and lost consciousness. He must get to the nearest river they saw on the way here, and tend to her wound, he decided as he sped away. Upon reaching the nearest river he could find inside the Awagakure woods, Itachi masked their chakra, and placed Sakura carefully under a shade of tree. He placed her lying in a sideward position and sat kneeling behind her back to try and further inspect the wound. He decided he could strip her outer shirt in order to try and stop the bleeding. After all, this is for her sake. So, after a few more moments of careful consideration wherein he decided not to waste time anymore, he decided to begin stripping off her upper shirt. As his hands reached the hemline of her shirt, a firm hand grasped his wrist. What do you think you're doing? Sakura hissed menacingly. She seemed to have regained her consciousness. I am merely taking off your clothes, he stated calmly. Angrily, Sakura tried to sit up but grimaced as an unmistakable pain shot her. Shit, she muttered. You pervert! How dare you take advantage of my weakened state? She growled. Itachi just stared at her unblinkingly, much to Sakura's annoyance. For the very first time in his 23 years of existence, he was called a pervert. All his life, especially during his mission in civilian and smaller nations where his identity is not too much known, women looked at him with evident interest all the time. It was always the women who seemed to take advantage of him, touching his arm and trying to get his attention, to Kisame's amusement. There were even a couple of instances where there were women who practically threw themselves at him and begged him to be the one to take their clothes off. In the case of this kunoichi, however, it was different. It was amusing to him. He smirked. What are you smirking at? She asked through gritted teeth. He smirked more. I think you are under the impression that I was trying to harass you. Well, wasn't it? Itachi closed his eyes in frustration. I am merely taking off your clothes so that I could take a good look at your wound. You think I trust you? You're not even a medic, Sakura told him, her eyes suspicious. Yes, but I still learned first aid basics when I was an ANBU in Konoha, Itachi said simply. I also assume you're almost out of chakra, and definitely unable to heal yourself at the moment. Sakura bit her lip, suddenly feeling embarrassed for accusing Itachi of such nonsense. However, she did not apologize immediately. After all, Itachi's the reason why she's out of chakra and cannot heal herself anymore. Itachi turned his back against her. However, I think you rather wish to bleed to death, he said softly. I'd better leave, if that's what you wish. He stood up and turned a step away from her when she spoke, sighing, Fine, go ahead. Itachi walked towards her and kneeled behind her again. He assisted Sakura in taking off her shirt, for she was having a hard time removing her shirt from above her head and groaning in pain as she stretched her wound further. When her shirt was already removed, Sakura covered her chest with her shirt and let her naked back facing Itachi. He gently touched her wound. Sakura winced in pain. The wound is deep and is still bleeding, and the best course of action is to at least clean it before wrapping it up tightly to stop it from bleeding so much. He stood up and took off his Akatsuki cloak, carefully and determinedly, not looking back at Sakura's partially nude state. He then tore off his own inner shirt above his head and stood up. He turned to head towards the river and submerged his shirt, and then wringed it to remove the excess water. Sakura's eyes widened in surprise as Itachi went to the river, already topless. What is he trying to do? She thought in confusion. Surely he wasn't intending to. Maybe he will, inner Sakura suddenly piped in, sounding hopeful. Just look at those broad shoulders, and his tanned muscles, too. That was surely a treat. Sakura closed her eyes in frustration. It was the second time with her and Itachi in this kind of awkward situation. First was the bathroom incident, and now, it is far more worse. To make matters worse, inner Sakura was particularly salivating towards the certain Uchiha. When he came back behind her, he wiped Sakura's wound with his wet shirt. My shirt is clean, he said. I have to clean the wound before wrapping it up. This is the only thing I can use for now. Oh, okay. Sakura's eyes then shut from exhaustion, her hands never leaving her shirt that was covering her chest. Itachi's fingers in contact with her back, as he wiped the wound carefully, felt so cool to touch, and she shivered in their close proximity. Inner Sakura shrieked in obvious delight. She was rather thrilled with their contact with Itachi. Unfortunately, Itachi noticed that she had shivered as he was damping his wet shirt over her wound. Are you feeling cold? He asked. Sakura bit her lip. Yeah, she lied. Suddenly, she felt her face going warm, which fortunately, Itachi was unable to see as he was behind her. Come on, Sakura, she thought panically. She's seen countless men without upper garments before, even fully naked ones. As a medic, it was inevitable and expected. But then, why does Itachi's topless image affect her this much? And why is she suddenly blushing? Is it hot? Inner Sakura sighed in obvious admiration. Yes, and that hotness was emanating from the man behind you, she giggled maliciously. I'll finish this up in a moment, Itachi replied. So you can dress up again. Okay, she sighed. There must be a roll of bandage I brought inside my pouch. It's a good thing that black metal rod she got from the earlier fight with her Konoha friends are something that she had hid within the scroll she carries inside the pouch, and thus, Itachi nor anyone won't be able to see it. She still has to find a way to send it to Konoha after she gets more information by investigating Pain's other hidden abilities. Itachi grabbed the pouch attached from her waist and got a roll of bandage from it. When the wound was clean already, at least the surrounding skin on it, he began to tightly wrap the bandages from Sakura's back towards the front of her affected shoulder blade. As he was quickly and tightly wrapping the bandages around, he accidentally brushed his hand over the underside of her breasts. Sakura froze, and Itachi stiffened. Sorry, Itachi said in a low, suddenly husky voice. It's okay, Sakura stammered as she blushed in embarrassment. Relax, Sakura, relax. Remember, it's an accident. Breathe. She thought as she tried to ignore inner Sakura, who was particularly melting like a marshmallow in happiness. Itachi tried hard not to feel affected after that unintentional touch while he resumed to wrap the bandages around her, although more slowly and carefully this time. Those accidents happen, for crying out loud, he told himself firmly as he swallowed a seemingly large lump in his throat. And matters like that should not be continued to be mulled on over, particularly a person like him. Finally, he tied the ends of the bandage tightly in a knot. It's finished, he said suddenly. I've wrapped it tightly to delay the blood loss, but once your chakra has recovered, you can heal yourself fully. Thank you, Sakura replied as she shoved her shirt above her head and dressed up again. She winced again in pain as she stretched her wound from her rash action. Be careful when moving, Itachi warned as he sat towards the opposite tree and sat. The wound is still fresh. Are we not going to continue our journey back to our headquarters? Sakura queried. It was already nearly dark, and it is not safe to travel in this state, he answered. At least for you. You'll only slow us down, he added rather nastily and smirked. Oh, so the Uchiha teases me now? The nerve, she thought as she made a face. And whose fault it was in the first place? Not noticing someone escaped away from your black fire, she scoffed. He masked his chakra, he said, closing his eyes. Her nostrils flared, but decided it was best not to argue further. After all, this man did his best to tend her wounded state. Itachi-san? She called out, making sure he was still awake. HN? Thank you for tending to my wound, she said. And I would like to apologize for my rude behavior a while ago. I shouldn't have called you a pervert, she added. Silence followed. And then, Itachi said, "It was rather amusing," he answered softly, his eyes still closed. Amusing? Itachi smirked. Never mind. Just sleep. Humph, was the only thing Sakura managed to reply. And then, Sakura-san. Sakura looked at Itachi, and saw his eyes snapped open once more. It was the first time he addressed her first name. I also appreciate your gesture in healing my eyes earlier. Sakura's breath temporarily hitched as Itachi's blazing onyx orb stared directly at her, and his gaze seemed to lock and look inside her soul. She felt warmness around the sides of her ears again, before nodding politely at Itachi's direction and deciding to close her eyes to avoid a staring match with him. Before succumbing to sleep, however, for once, she thought, Itachi was not that bad to mingle with, after all. It was not bad for a start. After Sakura had recovered a bit and healed her wound, she and Itachi proceeded to get the payment from the Tsuchigake's subordinates in a remote area of the Awagakure the next day. After getting the payment, they proceeded on their journey back to Amigakure. While on their journey back, Sakura noticed that her Akatsuki ring glowed with warmth. Glancing at Itachi's direction, he nodded briefly and proceeded to a halt. Sakura surmised Itachi's ring must have done the same too. Are we being summoned right now or something? Sakura asked Itachi. We'll have to stop for a while to see what's so urgent about it, Itachi replied. They looked for a rather secluded and secured spot by the foot of the Rocky Mountains, roughly hidden by trees and big trunks. Both of them sat on a nearby spot and began to do their projection appearance by using the magic lantern body technique the Akatsuki usually do to conduct long-distance meetings. When she first joined Akatsuki days ago, Konan and Pain taught her this technique by sending out thought waves which are converted to chakra and which the thought waves were picked up by Pain, who acts as the main control center. She knew she had done it correctly when she suddenly saw herself standing alongside with other virtual images of the Akatsuki members, which looked like the members they represented. When she further glanced around, everyone had already arrived except for Haiden and Kakuzu. Apart from that, a large beast was sprawled unconscious on the ground. It resembles a large turtle, but with a crab-like shell, spikes all over its body, and 3 shrimp-like tails. Pain's projection suddenly spoke. I have called this meeting urgently because of 2 reasons, he began. First, is that Tobi and Deidara successfully captured the 3-tailed beast, so we have to directly seal it to the statue. While this will be a rather quicker approach given the beast doesn't have a host, the sealing technique still needs to be performed and may still take a bit longer, given the current circumstances. What do you mean? Kisame asked. And is there a reason why we are starting this meeting and extraction even without Haiden and Kakuzu? Precisely the reason. Unfortunately, Haiden and Kakuzu both perished yesterday while on their way for another mission, Pain said. 2 members at the same time? Deidara asked. How did that happen? Haiden can't even die. Well, as Haiden is immortal, he couldn't possibly die. But his presence can no longer be detected, as well as his chakra. Setsu found his body, without its head, somewhere in the woods within the land of fire. As for Kakuzu, we are unable to find his body but found traces of his blood not too far from Haiden's headless body. Haiden's head is nowhere to be found. We assume those people from Konoha took Kakuzu's body to study its anatomy, Pain explained. Konoha shinobis killed them? Kisame asked. Yes, if I am not mistaken, they tracked Kakuzu and Haiden shortly after the latter was able to kill Asuma, the son of the 3rd Hokage few days ago. Sakura's breath hitched. Asuma? Asuma Sarutobi? He's dead? She asked, nonplussed. It seems so, Pain said. The last time Haiden and Kakuzu were here, they told me they managed to kill Asuma, who had a large bounty on his head. They said that Asuma's team was able to ambush them, therefore, standing against their way. How awful, Sakura thought. She hasn't had many interactions and missions with Asuma-sensei, however, he was a very good-natured sensei who always supported his students. She thought of how devastated Shikamaru, Chuji and her best friend, Ino, will be. This is indeed troublesome, Setsu implored. We just managed to be complete in headcount again, and then all of a sudden we suddenly lost 2 members. We can worry about that later on, Pain said. For the meantime, the priority is the tailed beasts. We are nearing closer to our goal. Indeed, Tobi squeaked excitedly. We shall proceed with the extraction of the tailed beast now, Pain said as he summoned the ghetto statue once more, and the remaining of the members went to their respective places to begin the extraction process. They were finally free to go after the extraction went on for nearly half a day. Sakura was still numb from the news that Asuma had died, and she felt useless about what happened. Her comrades have been getting hurt. Jiraiya-sama had lost his arm and now, Asuma died. She has to pick up her pace on her investigation, otherwise more of her comrades are going to die. As per Pain, their hideout will now be changed from Amagekure to somewhere near the border of Land of Fire and Land of Hidden Hot Water, given that their operational base has been discovered by Konoha already. Strategically, it is located closer to the middle between Kumogakure, Land of Lightning, and Kanahigakure, Land of Fire, as well as a bit closer to Kirigakure, Land of Water, which houses all the remaining Jinchurikis, the 8 tails, 9 tails and 6 tails respectively. The 5 tails, which was also yet to be captured, had been said to be sighted near the border of Land of Hidden Stones and Land of Wind, to which Kisame and Zetsu were instructed to capture. After Pain gave out the new hideout's coordinates, Itachi and Sakura turned to proceed and travel back to their new hideout. This means on their journey back, they will have to pass by the Land of Fire, particularly Kanahigakure, Sakura thought. Confidently, she turned towards the Land of Grass, which borders between both Land of Earth and Land of Fire. However, she noticed that Itachi seemed to be turning in the opposite direction, going to the Land of Waterfall instead. Isn't going around the Hidden Leaf Village the easiest and quickest way to the Land of Hidden Hot Water? Sakura inquired. Itachi glanced at her briefly, hopping from tree to tree, until he said it is. However, large nations such as Hidden Leaf have highly skilled sensory-type ninjas that can easily detect outsiders. While we are technically not outsiders and have a birthright here, our chakras, especially yours, can be easily detected given you've just gone rogue very recently. But can't we just disguise as someone else and alter our chakra? Definitely, but it is proven to be more effectively done in other villages, particularly those smaller ones, Itachi answered. Konoha has skilled ninjas who can easily detect chakra disturbances. Byakugan users, for instance. Sakura nodded in understanding, her stomach plummeting slightly. She was hoping to get a glimpse of Konoha while passing by, and somehow be able to give out signals to any of her comrades. She also would want to get a discreet glimpse on how they are doing, given the recent death of Asuma. More importantly, she has to let them know about the black rod hypotheses she has that came from Pain's body. When they reached the Land of Waterfall by evening, they decided to stop by its hidden village, Takigakure, to find some place to stay and eat. When they saw an old, rundown tea shop far from the center of the city, they decided to order something to eat. I'm curious about something, Sakura said as she began to eat her yakisoba order. Why didn't Akatsuki go after the tailed beasts at the same time? Like everyone can just be divided and go after them, right? Itachi took a bite from the kelp onigiri he ordered before answering Sakura. The tailed beasts need to be sealed consecutively. Otherwise it will be troublesome to keep each Jinchuriki for a long time when it isn't ready to be sealed yet. But Pain is intent on capturing Naruto a few days ago in Amagekure, Sakura observed. I say it's troublesome, but not impossible and the ideal approach, Itachi said. The 7 tails Jinchuriki, however, were captured earlier by Haiden and Kakuzue before the 4 tails. So it is being kept somewhere while the 6 tails are not captured yet. Thus, housing 2 or more Jinchurikis while the sealing sequence is not yet in order can be challenging.